Hey, yo, what up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. Making the turn on this week. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. A big thanks for making us a part of your start. If you are up and at it, and depending on how you're listening to us, whether it's on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, streaming online, sportstalk1051.com. Got your Alexa devices. Just say, yo, Alexa, play WAYY. Video streams up and rolling. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram. Download the app, tag it on the go. Dude, we got multiple different ways for you to be joining in this morning. What do we got on our game plan for us? Sorry, Brewers fans. No free burgers for us. No free burgers for us. No soup for you. No burgers for you. No George Webb burgers. Brewers can extend their winning streak to 12, falling last night to the Seattle Mariners. We have a pitching duel, not a lot of offense. 1-0. 1-0. The difference, a Cal Raleigh solo shot in the bottom of the sixth inning. Brewers just getting 2 hits. Mariners, 4 hits. That was the difference, that one solo shot. Jacob Mizorowski in a planned shorter start for the Crew, just going under 4 innings, 3 2/3, giving up 3 hits. Did strike out 7. Did strike out 7 in those 3 2/3. DL Hall coming in after him. A little bit of a piggyback start there. Nick Mears getting charged with the loss since he gave up the solo shot to Cal Raleigh. So Brewers, though, will try to get the series win this afternoon before returning home off day tomorrow and then welcoming the Marlins to Milwaukee. So we'll go through this game from yesterday and maybe kind of got a little bit of a glimpse of what the plan is going to be for Jacob Mizorowski in the second half of the season. We've been talking about it at length. What is the plan going to be for Mizorowski in terms of his usage in this second half? He's already approaching, when you talk about total innings pitched and such, he's already approaching that number that like his max, or I should say his max, the most he's pitched in a season last year, a little under 100. He's already kind of approaching that. So that has definitely been one of the bigger questions as we get into this second half of the season. How much the Brewers planned to use Mizorowski, how much are they going to stretch him and such? We'll go through some of the comments from Pat Murphy and pitching coach Chris Hook and Mizorowski after last night's game. But it did sound like it was a planned shorter start for the Miz. Then we'll take a look at this afternoon's game. Quinn Priester on the mound for the Crew. He's looking for his 9th win of the season to get to 9-2, currently at 8-2. But we talk about all the starters and we talk about the top 4 and such. Yet, I think for some fans, kind of forget about Quinn Priester and the season that he's had for this Brewers team. It's been no joke. He's been no slouch. He's been a nice hidden gem, I think, for this group. So we'll talk a little bit about tonight's game leading up to it as well. So Packers fans, happy day 1 of training camp. Football season's officially here. Packers going to be having their first practice. It is open to the public. Maybe some of you are going to be at practice or heading over there. But 10:30, around 10:30, it's going to start. If you want your kiddos to ride the bikes, well, you should be over there by now, probably waiting in line and such. But now that day 1 of training camp is here, we did our training camp storylines and top things to be watching for. At least I went through my list. But let me throw it back to you, you beautiful people. What is the top storyline in your opinion as or what's the main storyline or main thing that you're going to be following or paying attention to as we get into training camp season? Is it how the offensive line is going to shake out, the depth? Is there a starting job up for grabs between Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan or Rasheed Walker? Is it the corner depth? Is it rookie wide receiver Matthew Golden or the receivers? Is it something else? What, in your opinion, if I'm asking you to narrow it down to just one, okay, there's a lot, but what, in your opinion, do you think is numero uno, the number one storyline heading into training camp with practice number one coming up in just a few hours from now as we kick that off? So let me know. Hit me up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. You can also comment on the video streams. Hit me up on the socials, facebook.com/Dan Kasper Sports, X at the X at Dan Kasper, Instagram, Dan Kasper Sports too. So we'll hit that up. By the way, Packers got a new locker room. Look at that, huh? Whoo, Nelly. Not bad. And this is okay. Fans probably don't care that much, right? I mean, probably don't care. Like, ooh, fancy, who cares? That sort of thing. This is where I will tip the cap to Green Bay. Because in the last couple years, when we do those, or not when we, but when those NFL Players Association report cards get revealed, the grades and such, one thing that has been common as I guess, complaints from the Packers players has been the locker room. They say it's outdated, or it hasn't gotten all the positive reviews. I'll admit it's looked nice from my perspective, but I guess it's 2025. They probably want something more modern and such. Green Bay did that, and the players look to be pumped and excited about it. So Green Bay, instead of like Kansas City, Kansas City for the last couple of years apparently has just been that's where they've gotten like Fs or something. And what did Kansas City do last year? They got them new chairs, but Green Bay completely remodeled the locker room. So that, I mean, if you haven't seen it, it looks pretty darn cool. So you can go ahead and then check it out and such. So, but yeah, we'll talk a little green and gold here this morning. We got stock reports. Whose stock is rising? Whose stock is falling? All right. What do you got? Hit me up with your picks. Stock risers, stock fallers. We'll hit those up in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll do a little trash talk Wednesday. So if you want to do a little trash talking to your rival team or your rival fan base, but keep it clean and keep it fun, you can do that right now. All right. Got anything good? Brewers fans? Want to say anything to Cubs fans, Packers, to the Vikings with training camp coming up here, or the Bears, or anything like that? What have you? All right. Send them on over. Let's do a little trash talk Wednesday coming at you. So we'll get to that here too. So that's your game plan for this morning. A little bit of Packers, a little bit of Brewers here, as we got training camp beginning, and Brewers looking to get another series win under their belts against the Mariners. So, and that's where we're going to lead things off here. Brewers last night falling to the Seattle Mariners in a pitching duel, 1-0. The difference being that solo shot from AL MVP candidate Cal Raleigh, his 39th home run of the season. Shorter start for the Miz. Is this going to be the plan for the Miz going forward? And if that is the plan for the Miz going forward, and maybe a little Brandon Woodruff, maybe a guy like Nestor Cortez isn't necessarily going to be on the trading block. What about, how does Tobias Myers potentially factor into this thing? Maybe the Brewers hold on to their plethora of starting pitching options because of the potential of piggyback starts, shorter starts for guys like Mizorowski and Brandon Woodruff. What are your thoughts on that? We'll hear some comments from Chris Hook and Pat Murphy and Jacob Mizorowski after last night's game. So let's do that. Let's hit it up. We'll take our first break and get things going here this morning on the leadoff. Talk a little Brewers. But send me your top storyline for Packers training camp too. All right, we'll get to that a little bit later. First break, we'll be back after these quick words. At Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, you're more than just a customer. You are a part of the family. From the moment that you walk in, their amazing team is dedicated to helping you find that perfect floor for your home or business. Hey, whether you're looking for carpet, tile, or luxury vinyl planks, they've got a wide range of options to fit any style and budget. And they'll match or beat that competition too. Their commitment to outstanding customer service means they're here to guide you through every step of the way from selection to installation. And I speak from experience too, because we've had the stairs done in our house. We've had the bedrooms done with some new carpets as well, the man cave with some tile and such. And we've got more projects that we'd like to do in the future. And we know we're going to go to our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center. So if you're looking to update the flooring game in your home, or maybe doing some shower tile stuff too, because they can help you out with that, go visit our good friends, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire today, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. Let's begin the lead off this morning. No burgers, no George Webb burgers. Brewers fans, sorry. Brewers can't get to that magic number of 12. 12 wins in a row, falling last night in a pitching duel, 1-0 loss to the Seattle Mariners. Cal Raleigh's solo shot in the bottom of six against Nick Mears, the only difference, or being the difference in this game. Brewers just 2 hits in this game, so a masterful performance from Gilbert's, from the Mariners, and their relief corps too. So Jacob Mizorowski only going just under 4 innings in a planned shorter start for the Brewers. Pat Murphy, after the game, saying that the kid knows we've got his best interests in mind. Chris Hook saying it's the right thing to do by limiting Jacob Mizorowski, or having a shorter start for Jacob Mizorowski yesterday. Reading a little bit from Adam McCulvey. It says, I thought it was kind of an interesting note here. It says, the Brewers' small army of data analysts and decision makers have been mulling Mizorowski's usage for a while now. He threw 97 and a third innings last season between AA and AAA. It was already at 89 innings this season between AAA, Nashville, and his 5 starts in the majors, and 90 if you count his scoreless 8th inning in the National League All-Star game. And at the same time, Mizorowski had not been extended in a while. His final start of the first half was his 12-strikeout gem against Clayton Kershaw and Dodgers on July 8th, 1 full week before the All-Star game. Then he got another full week of rest before his second half Brewers debut. Jacob Mizorowski said, Hook gets to be the bad guy and deliver the news to me. Hook saying, too, I didn't tell him a number, but I did tell him it would be short. I didn't want to put a number in his head, but we had a number we wanted to get him to. Sounds like that number was between 55 to 65 pitches and no more than 4 innings. Mizorowski saying after the game, too, obviously I want to go 6 or 7 innings, but we're looking deeper season-wise. There's no real conversation. They're like, this is what's going to happen, and you live with it. Chris Hook also saying it's the short-term call and the long-term call. We're talking about volume and intent, right? There's a lot of intent there, so we had to make sure we controlled the volume tonight. I know there's probably some fans not happy, little frustrated, disappointed, if this is going to be the game plan for Mizorowski. Now, when you read some of those comments, it sounds like, okay, maybe it was just for this game because he had a lot of rest in between and such, and not really stretched out. But I do think we're going to see parts of this going forward in this second half, whatever we want to call this part of the season after the All-Star break. This is something that the Brewers are going to have to address every week throughout the rest of this regular season and potentially getting set for the postseason. But maybe it's probably going to be a game-by-game basis, a week-by-week basis sort of thing. But this is something that they're going to have to manage for the rest of the year. We talked about this at length, and I know, again, fans are not going to like it. They're going to be frustrated, or they're going to be a little bit of annoyed by this. But this is one thing I would say. I trust Chris Hook and the Brewers when it comes to pitching decisions. I think they've earned that. I think they've earned Brewers fans' trust when it comes to decisions regarding how to use pitchers and such, and how, Chris Hook deserves a lot of credit for what he has been able to do during his tenure as pitching coach for the Brewers. We sing the praises of this staff, and we sing the praises of some of the performances from some of these guys, and there's a common theme, or there's a common thing attached to all that, and that's Chris Hook. And it's this Brewers investment into pitching and pitching analytics, and just getting guys in their secret lab, this pitching lab that we keep hearing about. They deserve a lot of credit for that, and I think they deserve trust from Brewers fans. Of course, I personally, as a fan, would love to see Jacob Misiorowski go 6 or 7 innings every time out. Jacob Misiorowski would love that. And I guarantee you the Brewers would love to see that too. But they also know, hey, we got to be a little smart about this too. Next year, you're probably going to see more of that. I mean, let's face it, Misiorowski's going to make the opening day roster next year unless, knock on wood, something just awful happens, and we don't want that to happen. But right now, this is the hand we're dealt with, or this is the hand that the Brewers are dealt with. And I trust them. I trust their game plan with this for Misiorowski. As frustrating as it may be at times, and like, dang it, want to see him go 6, and maybe at times it puts a little bit of a tax in the bullpen here, but I trust the game plan right now. And I think, again, you look at some of the options that they have in the bullpen and some of the relief pitchers that they have, they got guys that can give you multiple innings. Guys that have starting experience, whether it is a DL Hall or whether it is an Aaron Ashby or a Tobias Myers. They've got guys that can eat a couple of innings for you instead of some of those bullpen guys that, you're going to save for 7th, 8th, 9th inning, giving you just those 1 innings of work. So they have a little bit of that versatility within the bullpen where I think they can manage that. And it's not just Misiorowski. It's going to be Brandon Woodruff here too for a little bit at least. Maybe for a couple more or a few more starts. Until they probably get a better feel and feel a little bit more comfortable with him coming back from that shoulder injury. Yes, he's pitched a lot in rehab and that, and he's got a couple starts under his belt here. But they're still going to build it up until they completely take off the reins and the chains or whatever you want to call it when it comes to Brandon Woodruff. They got to be smart about this. So I get it. I understand it. And I agree, not that my opinion matters to them, but I agree with the game plan for Misiorowski. And it's going to be interesting. Again, you listen to the comments and they talk about, and they were really kind of focused on, his last full start was, the Dodgers win against Clayton Kershaw. He had a week off, and then, All-Star break, another week off. They're trying to build him back up. It kind of gave the impression that it was just for this game. We'll see. We'll see going forward. But I have to imagine this is going to be, we're going to see this at least maybe a few more times before the end of the regular season. And I think a lot of it too is probably going to, you look at certain off days, right? Does that factor in, just timing-wise? But it does throw a little bit of a interesting thing into the whole trade deadline. I mean, we talk about the plethora of starting pitching that the Brewers potentially have when Nestor Cortes does come back. You throw in a little Tobias Myers into that action too. Do the Brewers maybe look at that as, all right, we're loaded up there. We got some riches there. Yes, we probably could move one of those guys for something, but do they look at it as like, hey, we also have a backup option, or it makes throwing Misiorowski out there for just a few innings for maybe a piggyback start or something like that a little bit more tolerable, or, we feel a little bit more comfortable because we have those other options that can give us multiple innings and a potential piggyback start sort of situation. That's what's going to be interesting as we get closer and closer to that trading deadline next week. whether the Brewers decide to move any of their starters or not, to bring in maybe a player that can help them out this year, or do they hold on to those guys because they want the depth to help out so they're not, pushing the limit with a guy like Mizorowski or even Brandon Woodruff at this point. So it's going to be interesting to watch in the next week and a day, the game plan or what they do with some of their pitchers. Because, yes, they do have a deep starting staff when everybody's healthy and ready to come back. And maybe they hold on to those guys and gives them a little versatility, gives them a little bit of breathing room to be able to do different things and have shorter starts and et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. Tonight, or this afternoon, excuse me, we get to see a guy that I think, when we talk about the starting pitching for the Brewers, it's the Miz, it's Freddie, it's Brandon Woodruff, it's Quintana, the veteran. But Quinn Priester has been awesome this year too. And I think he kind of gets a little overlooked for the job that he has done this year. And again, this is another example of just the great job that Chris Hook, Jim Henderson, and this team has done with Quinn Priester. Beginning of the year, acquired in a trade from the Red Sox. A lot of people thought that the Brewers give up too much for this kid. And when he was brought in, you heard a common narrative like, we want to get him into our lab. We think he would be better if he does this and focuses on this and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it sure seems like it's working right now. In 18 games he has played, he has started 13. He is 8-2 with a 3.33 ERA. I mean, this is a guy that has pitched way above, I think, a lot of our expectations. I didn't know what to expect from Quinn Priester when he first came over. I don't think anybody really knew what to expect from Quinn Priester when he came over. Didn't know anything really about him. And so far this season, he's been solid. Overall, he has been pretty darn solid. June, he finished off 4-0 with a 1.98 ERA. In 3 games in July so far, he's 2-0 with a 3.24 ERA. The one game that kind of screws up his ERA just a little bit, inflates a little bit, is that game in Miami on July 4th, where he went 4 2/3 and gave up 4 earned runs. After that, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, and a win against Washington. And that Dodgers game on the 18th, 6 innings. He's coming off of an awesome game against the Dodgers, where he went 6 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks. He, to me, has been, when you talk about maybe some nice surprises or pleasant surprises, and we could pick a few different names on this list on this Brewers team, right? I mean, there's a few different guys we could throw in there. Quinn Priester's on that list too. There's no question about it. He is on that list. You could throw a Durbin. You could throw a Mizorowski. You could throw in, even Chad Patrick when he was up for a little bit. Quinn Priester's on there too. He has been a nice addition this year, and that is a credit to Matt Arnold for making that move, which was viewed at that time like, oh, okay. It was an aggressive move, but so far it's worked out. And that's a credit to Chris Hook and Jim Henderson looking at Quinn Priester, working with him like, okay, this is what we're going to focus on. This is what we believe you can do really well, and in turn, help your career, help our team. And they've pushed the right buttons with him. They've dialed it up, and they've done a fantastic job with him. On the mound, on the other side, it's going to be Luis Castillo for the Mariners. He's coming off of a couple straight wins here for the Mariners. So far, he is riding a 3-game winning streak. All 3 straight wins coming in the month of July. And so far in July, he has been fantastic. 3-0 with a 1.45 ERA. I mean, he has just given up 3 runs in the month of July, and all of them came in one game against Detroit back on the 11th. Coming off of a win against Houston when he went 6 2/3, giving up just 3 hits, no earned runs, striking out 7. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough one for this offense. Offense needs a bounce back game after only having 2 hits yesterday. They got to have a bounce back game against a veteran that is pitching really, really well as of late. Really well as of late. And so far this season, solid. I mean, yes, you look at 7-5, it's like, oh, just 2 games above 500, 3.21 ERA. But, you kind of look at his June numbers, 6 games, he's 0-2 with a 3.97 ERA, but he had a couple hiccups there. But overall, he has been pretty darn solid. So it's going to be a tough test for this Brewers offense. We obviously need way more production than just 2 hits like they had yesterday. So can they bounce back? And can they give some run support to Quinn Priester for tonight's game? Not a ton of experience outside of Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich in 29 career at-bats against him. Just 207. Does have an 818 OPS against him with a home run. Vaughn's got 6 career at-bats, 167 and a 500 OPS. Contreras, 6 career at-bats, 500 with a 1.167 OPS. Mariners, they're going in a little bit of unknown territory going up against Quinn Priester. So who's going to have the advantage in that one? 2 pitchers who are coming off of very good games. Might be who's going to be the offense that gives them the proper run support, enough run support for today's game to get that victory. But let's get this dub. All right, let's get this dub. Winning streak's over with. Let's start a new one. Let's start a new winning streak right now. All right, I said it yesterday. The Brewers are the hunted. They're not the chasee anymore. They're the ones being chased. They're not going to surprise a lot of teams. Probably not going to surprise any teams coming in anymore. Not when you go and sweep the Dodgers for the season. Not when you go and sweep the Phillies earlier this year. They may be a surprise to some baseball fans out there. But I think for teams in Major League Baseball, Brewers aren't going to surprise anybody. Teams are going to be prepared for them. They're not going to overlook them just because they're the Milwaukee Brewers. I guarantee you, these teams that are playing the Brewers, they know how good this team is. And they're going to prepare like crazy for these guys. Brewers have a target on their backs right now. They're in a battle with the Cubs for first place in the division. They're in a battle for, and again, did we have this on our bingo card? But it's a thing. They're in a battle for the top seed in the National League to be able to have home field advantage in the postseason. That's going to be crucial. That's going to be big because, again, the other day we looked at it. Home and away records for the top teams in the National League. And they all have one thing in common. They're all way better at home than they are on the road. And it's probably not breaking news there. That you could say that a lot for a lot of teams in any sport. But the Brewers, with 61 games left to go, not only in a fight for a playoff spot, they're in a fight to win the division, and they're in a fight to potentially be the top seed in the National League. It's 61 games to go. You don't want to put a lot of stock into, like must-win games for every single game. But with everything that's being so tight at this point in time in the season, every game matters. And you listen to Pat Murphy after the game yesterday, and he was asked about the loss. Losing after a winning streak and such, and a 1-0 game like that. Pat Murphy said this loss feels the same as all the others. That's 41 of them now, and they feel exactly the same. Awful. I love that answer. I loved that answer from Pat Murphy. But it's going to be a nail biter all the way through the end of September here. And again, I think you just got to focus it. If I'm in that clubhouse, if I'm Pat Murphy, I keep with the same message. One game at a time. Focus on what's in front of you. Focus on what team you're playing that day. Not next week, not next month or 2 days away. The team that you're going up against right now. And today, that's Seattle. Focus on this win before thinking about the off day and getting back home to Milwaukee. Focus on Seattle for today. One game at a time approach. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll talk more Brewers. We got day one of training camp. What is the numero uno storyline for the Packers as they enter training camp? Let me know. Hit me up with a quick text. Looking for a quick, affordable meal? Well, then you should head on over to our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Whether you're in the mood for a delicious grab-and-go option or maybe making something or picking up supplies to take home and make a home-cooked meal, Hy-Vee has you covered. Fresh meals, great prices, plus with their perks program, you can save some money at the gas pump every time you shop. And today's going to be a little bit of a muggy day and such, so maybe you want to stay inside and watch a little bit of the ball game this afternoon, listen to the ball game on the radio. Go grab yourself a six-pack of Man Cave Lights at the wine and spirits department. So it's a smart way to get more out of your day and your dollar by shopping at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Hey, what you doing on August 24th? It's a Sunday. Maybe you're riding the bus with us to Milwaukee to watch Brewers, Giants, but also be in attendance as the Brewers honor Bob Uecker. It's the Uecker celebration game, and we got a bus going for that game. Just head to wiscotrips.com. All the information is at wiscotrips.com. And to get your ticket, which includes your game tickets, your round trip motor coach transportation, and a tailgate party from Premier Catering, just go to wiscotrips.com. Make sure you select the Eau Claire option on there. You can also check it out. There, we got a link up at our website too. It's a icon right on the right hand side. You can't miss it. It's the Uecker picture of him on The Simpsons and such. So go to wiscotrips.com. Again, all the information you need is right there. And to get your ticket, to reserve your seat on the bus, that's where you go. C-Bomb, you should take the family. I think I'm going to take my family. So C-Bomb, you should take your family so we can all go down there together. Anybody else too, get your tickets before it's gone. We just, like, a bunch of them went off the shelves yesterday. So speaking of C-Bomb, quick text from the myth, the man, the legend himself. Look at what this Brewers team has done. I'm not only talking about having the best record in baseball at the latest point in the season since 1982. I'm talking about an opening day of training camp, half hour into the program, and the Packers haven't even been mentioned. Well done, Milwaukee. Well done. But C-Bomb does mention, so we are looking for what you believe is the top storyline for the Pack as we open up training camp today. C-Bomb saying, I will say what I'm watching for the most is a combination between two units. How has the pass rush improved? If it hasn't, how well our secondary holds up, specifically at corner with Nixon. Be very hard to gauge during training camp, but those are the groups I will be watching. Yeah, that is going to be hard to gauge in training camp because, not to be a downer or naysayer or negative person or anything like that, but how many times have we gone through training camp and we've seen, like, the updates or, like, the one-on-ones, right? Those one-on-ones against the defensive lineman, pass rusher versus the offensive line. And we pay attention to those and we follow those and we're like, oh, dude just dominated there and such. And really it's never transitioned to the field. We get excited in training camp when somebody beats a one-on-one or they're having a good day of rushing the passer. And then it gets quiet. It's those preseason champs. So it's hard to gauge that. But I think, for me, when I look at this, my main storyline, I think, going into it is probably going to be the depth at corner. Not only, the top three of Nixon and Valentine and Hobbs, because I don't think we're really going to see how well they're going to be tested until we get into the regular season. I mean, I think it's a good test for them. I want to see Nixon lined up against Golden because I want to see how Nixon could go up against the speed of Matthew Golden, going up against a shifty Jaden Reed and such. They will have benefits of practicing against those guys. But in my opinion, I don't think, they're going to be really tested. We're going to get a really good gauge until we get to the regular season. But for me, it's the depth of the cornerbacks outside the top three. Can Kalen King make that jump in his sophomore year? Is it going to be Holman? Is it going to be somebody else? The depth at that cornerback spot, because let's face it, we're an injury away from, like, I'm a little bit nervous. Javon Bullard, all right, safety / slot nickel role person. We saw it last year how one injury to the secondary really kind of affected the game plan of what the Packers want to do. So I'm looking at the depth of that position and seeing, okay, who are the guys that are going to maybe win 2 or 3 spots on this roster? Because I think it's fair to say 3 for sure are locks. Nixon, Hobbs, and Valentine. You throw Javon Bullard in there as your slot guy, nickel corner. Okay, that's 4. Bullard's making a team. But if you kind of factor him in that cornerback depth chart, then you're talking about maybe only having 2 more spots, 3 more spots, so like 2 to 3 spots. Who are going to be the guys then that are going to win those spots? There's a potential that their number is going to be called on in the regular season. So, do you trust those guys if they're out on that field? This is where training camp and preseason is going to be a huge factor, determines a lot of those questions. And if not, do they look at who's available on the veteran free agent market? Like, okay, we're not getting the production that we were hoping for. I mean, it's very similar to the backup quarterback position from last year, right? Sean Clifford, Michael Pratt weren't impressing. They weren't getting the job done in training camp and in the preseason games. So what does Green Bay do? They trade for Malik Willis. If Green Bay's not impressed with the depth of the cornerback position, could they potentially do the same thing and add a veteran corner to that, whether it's a Rasul Douglas or a Hilton or whoever else? Possibly. But I think for me, the big thing that I'm going to be watching, the number one thing that I'm going to be watching, if I had to rank them, is going to be the depth of the cornerback groups. Or the quarterback players, excuse me. I hope, of all hope, I really hope that we get to see, a Kalen King make that jump. A guy that was, 7th round pick last year. A lot of the quote-unquote draft experts thought he potentially could have been a first-round pick or way earlier pick if he was in a draft the year before. There's potential there, and there's talent there. But we didn't get to see it last year. And I'm hoping that we're going to see some growth from him this year. And that's really when you focus or when you watch training camp and you watch these preseason games, it is going to be hard to gauge a lot of, the production aspects of some of these players, especially the starters. And that's why I enjoy preseason games. I know it's kind of funny and people just roll their eyes and such, but why I enjoy preseason games so much is because I get to see these guys, for one, trying to win jobs. A lot of those guys, those backup guys, those younger guys, they're going 100%. They're trying their best. They're playing their hardest. Starters, probably not. But those other guys are trying to win a job and trying to continue to chase their dreams and such. But there's also a chance that we're going to see these guys in the regular season because they got to fill in due to injury or such. So that's why I watch these preseason games, why I enjoy preseason games, because it kind of makes you as a fan become a scout a little bit. When you're watching the preseason game against the Jets or whoever at Seattle, whoever it's going to be this year. When you're watching it and you're watching the third unit, it may be boring football because the starters out there. I ain't saying it's fantastic football. It may be boring football, but it kind of allows you as a fan to be a little bit of a scout. So that's what that would be like the one thing I would tell fans. Like, if you're not the biggest preseason fans out there, because it's boring football. It is. A lot of times it is incredibly boring football. I'm not going to argue that. But you get to be a little bit of a scout because you're looking at these guys and you're like, man, I think that guy should make the team. Or, man, okay, I'm going to pay attention to these guys because, if they make the team, I want to know a little bit about them. When their number is called in week 7 and all of a sudden they're on the field, I could be like, oh yeah, that's the guy I saw in preseason. Okay, he did this really well, and I thought he did this really well. You could kind of be a scout. We all act like we're armchair or armchair general managers and such when it's the season. So do it in the preseason. When you're watching these preseason games, when you're paying attention to training camp, it may be boring. But for a few of these guys, their number is going to be called. And instead of saying, who the heck is that guy? Never heard of him? Watch a little bit in the preseason, and you may know a little bit about it. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember when he made that one play. That's why I enjoy preseason, because it allows you to kind of put your scouting cap on. And you kind of get to see some of those guys perform in case their number is called upon in the regular season. And chances are, some of those guys, it will be. It will be. So, all right. Your top storylines. Again, practice will begin 10:30 today. 10:30 today. If I'm sure they're going to be doing the live stream of all the bikes and such. So that'll be cool. To me, one of the best traditions in all of sports, not just football, in all of sports. All right. Hey, I want to throw this out to you. A little bit of a sidetrack question here, but I got to throw this out there. Okay. Ozzy Osbourne passing away yesterday. I think one of the top 5 sports stadium songs of all time, Crazy Train. I mean, you haven't gone to a game, even a high school. Okay, the band will play Crazy Train. College will play Crazy Train, right? I mean, that to me is a top 5 sports song, stadium song, weight room. I mean, when we were in the weight rooms, that was probably on a playlist. What are your top 5 or top stadium sports songs of all time? If you don't want to do top 5, you just want to throw a couple on there, that's fine. I won't make you do top 5. But for me, Crazy Train's got to be on there. That might be a good podcast episode for me and Brandon when we do our top 5. But for today, since Ozzy passed away yesterday, your top sports pump-up songs, stadium songs, arena songs, whatever the case be, what are the first ones you think of? Crazy Train's got to be up there. Got to be up there. Easily top 5. So hit me up with a text, okay, with your pick. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line this morning. We'll get back to some more storylines for the Packers as they open up training camp. So continue to send those on over if you would like. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as well as we get set for Game 3 of this series with the Mariners. Brewers looking to get another series win with Quinn Priester on the mound this afternoon. So then an off day for the Brewers as they travel back to Milwaukee before they welcome the Marlins to Milwaukee. We got that. Remember, Friday's game's 3:10. All right, it's an afternoon Friday game, and then you got the alumni home run derby. That should be a lot of fun to watch too. So they'll be home, and then of course I know we're all up for that Cubs series that starts next Monday, but still got to take it by a game approach, one at a time here. We're in the chase. We're in the running. That's got to be the mindset for these players. So we'll get back to that. Don't forget, send us your stock reports as well, whose stock is rising and whose stock is falling. About 2 minutes left. Morgan, what's up, Morgs?
How you doing with the hot weather today? You all right?
I'm good.
What do the kids do in the ball field? Do you give them freezies afterwards? Get the coolers full of cold treats?
No.
You should.
Water.
Come on, Dad.
I'm dad. I'm not mom.
I'm
dad.
telling you. So
No.
the flavor ice thing we're talking about. Do you remember as a kid, it was like red, green, blue, purple.
Mm-hmm.
What one would you always go for?
I was probably like orange or purple or blue.
Okay, so I would never pick orange. I always went for the red. But the deal is, don't those things make you cough? Do you remember that, or is that just me? We would suck down those flavor ices after playing outside, and for some reason, you would always end up like in a low-grade coughing fit afterwards, which seemed to alarm nobody.
I don't remember that.
You don't? Oh,
No.
man, those things made me cough.
No, I don't remember that.
And it's National Vanilla Ice Cream Day today.
Oh,
So
gosh, that's Hudson's favorite.
vanilla, it's everyone's favorite. It was
No, it's
actually
not. It's not mine.
I'm telling you, it was just ranked number 1 across the
That's
country.
because everybody's boring.
Classic. Not
It's
boring.
boring.
Okay, so what's number 1?
Vanilla, when you say vanilla, it's boring.
If you say anything but mint chocolate chip, you're wrong. What's number 1?
What's number 1?
Yep.
Anything with chocolate in it.
Mint chocolate chip. That's what I'm in the green kind. Like it's obviously fake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my favorite kind. Like the cheaper the better for some reason.
Yeah.
Some things you splurge on and you go upper echelon, but something about like just the low grade.
Anything with chocolate.
Neon green.
Vanilla is so boring and blah and average.
Does he do anything with it? Like
He'll put some
mix-ins?
sprinkles in there.
Okay, what's with the weird thing that kids do when they add gummy stuff? You can't add gummy stuff to ice cream. That's just so gross.
they get frozen a little too hard.
Yeah, it's not good stuff.
I would agree.
So are you like a cram everything in there, like chocolate mousse track surprise kind of guy?
Once in a while.
Okay, today's the day.
Yeah, no
Scoop
kidding.
it up.
Second hour kicking off on this Wednesday morning, July 23rd. We appreciate you joining us here this morning. However you're tuning in, if it's on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also streaming us online at sportstalk1051.com. You got your Alexa devices. Just say, hey, yo, Alexa, play WAYY video streams and download the app as well. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as the crew looking to start another winning streak here. No burgers, though. Sorry, peeps, down in Milwaukee. No George Webb burgers. But they'll try again to pick up another win streak. Quinn Priester's on the mound this afternoon. First pitch going to be about 2:40. 2:40. Coverage will begin about 35 minutes prior on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So we'll get to that. We got day one of training camp set to begin here in just a couple of hours. I'm sure the live streams of the bikes and such are going to be coming up here in just a little bit. But day one of training camp is here for the Packers, but also too maybe an interesting day because this is the day that has long been rumored we might get that alternate uniform. And I did see the Packers Pro Shop tweet last night, the whole eye emoji saying we've been keeping a secret.
Yeah, there you go. So it is happening.
We'll see what it's going to be. Now the shareholders meeting is until Friday. So I mean that's nothing going to be there. But yeah, the tweet from the Packers Pro Shop was we've been keeping a secret ... Shh, eye emoji. So get ready. Yeah. See, I need
helmet.
That, but I also need a new lawnmower. So it's like, really, guys, you're doing this to me now. And I really want to get that. But
what if they had a Packer lawnmower?
Oh, I saw that a few years ago on Facebook and I didn't get it. And it sounded like it was a good thing because somebody was actually listening. I remember this story. I saw it. It's on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. Didn't buy it, but somebody reached out, said their neighbor bought it and it died the first day they tried using it.
So, okay. Yeah. So maybe not. Okay.
Yeah. So, I just need, mine kind of blew up last week. So
yeah.
Need
okay. So not good.
Unless the grass is going to stop growing this year then.
Well, at the rate we get a little rain right now, but at the rate it's going, I did the whole thing. You've probably seen a fair amount. Maybe you listening has done the same thing where, like, depending on the day that you mowed, if you mowed on just the wrong date or maybe just the right date, depending on how much you like mowing, like, it's not growing anymore. It just stopped. That's what happened at our yard. Mowed and, like, it's getting browner, not moving, but I guess that means you can wait a little while. So that's good, I guess.
I don't think my wife wants to use the hand mower, not a push mower, an actual hand one. Wow. Non-electric. She did that while I enjoyed some fishing last Saturday. So I don't. She told me she is never doing that again.
Okay,
so.
Good. Well, if Mother Nature doesn't give us any more rain later today, doubtful that's going to happen.
I really appreciated the lawnmower blowing up when we got some new windows put in the house too. So it's like, all right,
yeah, there we go. So
it was on my birthday too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fun time. How did you spend your
cussing and swearing?
Nice.
That afternoon. So yeah, Dan's got to do some shopping.
Freaking lawnmowers.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
So, but no, we'll get. I would imagine we're getting that drop today.
Yeah, right? I'm looking at the Chris Creamer thread, the sportslogos.net thread. Not seeing any hints or drops or anything. It's more people commenting on everything else that's been happening between the Bills bringing back the red helmets and
a lot of new stuff this year.
Well, thank you, alternates, opening this up. I mean, and thank gosh we're not to the point of NBA city uniforms. We have no idea who's playing who. At least there's some regulations about this. But the Saints bringing out their gold jerseys again. It's the first time since 2002. So that's getting the top.
Shout out Aaron Brooks.
Yep, it would be that era.
And Mike McCarthy, offensive coordinator for those Saints.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Because I've been seeing a lot of references to the last time they wore them was a game against the Vikings. And I remember watching that game back in, 23 years ago, probably, because it's the only time they've worn gold jerseys. So don't worry, there'll be plenty of talk once that Packers helmet arrives. What we think is probably going to be airbrushed and look really, really awesome. But we'll see. What do you think of the Steelers, given that they're playing course, the
playing the
Packers, in those throwbacks.
You know,
or faux backs, I should say, because it's a mix.
They do some of the worst throwbacks, throwback, whatever we want to call it. They have awful decision makers when it comes to that stuff.
But it's still kind of authentic.
But whether it's the Bumblebee crap or, you know, it just, they're ugly. They're always ugly. They're the worst.
The problem with the Steelers, I get. Again, this is an aesthetic thing because there's some that are like, this looks really awesome. It all depends on your taste. They didn't have the greatest designs until they got good. Like it's the classic, what's the look of success? The look of success is basically what they've had since the early 1970s / late 60s when they got rid of the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that in all the old school NFL films. Side note, you know what the Batman jerseys are supposed to emulate?
No.
It's supposed to be the Golden Triangle in downtown Pittsburgh.
Not the Bermuda?
Not that one.
Well, then maybe it should go there so they disappear.
Well, given how the Steelers were performing in the 60s, they kind of did that anyway. But no, that was supposed to be a golden triangle on top of the jerseys to match the so-called golden triangle of the Allegheny and the Monongahela meeting to create the Ohio River. And the end result, it was like the earliest version of, you know, all those uniform designs we've seen over the last 2.5 decades that look really great on a graphic, and then they wear them and they look like absolute garbage because you don't know what an actual human being's going to look like wearing them, and jerseys get pulled all over the place. It was like that because it ends up looking like Batman. And that's why they're called the Batman jerseys. And they're not wearing those, but there's a bit of a clamoring for that to come back. The Steelers have an interesting history. That's the best way I can put it. And we get to watch that against the Packers.
Well, I mean, they got to wear those ugly jerseys to kind of mask Aaron Rodgers' probably ugly performance in that game.
Great. So we get to see Aaron Rodgers wearing that. Ugh.
Yep. So,
okay.
So yeah, if that does drop in the next couple hours, we'll let you know, I suppose.
9:05, I'm sure, is when it's going to drop.
Yeah. So, what else do we got here? C-Bomb with a quick text. Top 5 sports stadium pump-up songs. Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses, Enter Sandman, Crazy Train, Thunderstruck, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yes, I'm 90s biased, but it was the best decade ever for music. So, obviously, we threw that out there because of Ozzy passing away, and Crazy Train, like I was saying earlier, Crazy Train, I've heard it. High school bands play it. I've heard college bands play it. It's easily, to me, a top 5 stadium sports song of all time.
I'm at the point where I associate it with the Eau Claire Express. I did enough games.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And that's what they, for the longest time, would play when they would unveil their starting lineups. So, yeah, I mean, that's success when you embed something to the point that another song gets viewed that way.
I can't remember where it actually came from, but I heard I was in college at the time. Or was I? Yeah, maybe I was at the I think I was in college, but I went to the state high school basketball tournament. And there was a band there, a prep band that just knocked it out of the park with Crazy Train. Like, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, they just killed it. It was awesome. So, like, that always stuck in my head.
That's not an easy one to do. It chugs along, so you got to have some really good rhythm, and it's having teenagers musically pull off that level of rhythm is it's challenging. It just is. It's challenging to do. So that props to whichever school that was that was doing that.
That's a good list, C-Bomb. I mean, I throw a little Eye of the Tiger in there. Like, I got to throw Eye of the Tiger in there. That's just, when I think of sports songs, it's that. Yes, a little Enter Sandman, I would say. I mean, yes, the Mariano Rivera walk, but that's kind of, I've heard the Packers use it as their intro song before. So.
Yeah, I always associate Welcome to the Jungle with the Vikings. They'd always do the part right during like a...
That was Eric Gagne's walkout song as closer, so...
Yeah.
I know that for the one hot minute he was with the Brewers.
Hell's Bells.
Hell's Bells is a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. Hell's Bells, Trevor Hoffman, got to put that one in there. So,
those, I mean, there's certain go-tos.
Yep.
That, like, you don't hear too many other varieties out there. Because, I mean, other than that, there are like certain, like, if you play the song at a certain time, we've talked before about like, was it Kevin Rudolph, Let It Rock?
Yeah, that was like the 2010s.
Yep.
Yep.
right around that time.
A
And
little Wayne in there too.
I always associate Let It Rock with being at like a Packers game in
It was
08,
always like during a timeout
Mhm.
or in between downs. Yeah.
Yeah. You would not expect to make the list, but I always associate that with Lambeau Field. Again, I heard it enough times, and I remember when it was a pop hit, but I associated with Lambeau Field because I heard it so many times there.
And I associate this song, and you know where I'm going with, and I don't like it, and I'm sorry, but Start Me Up all the time at
Yeah.
Lambeau. It's no offense to the Rolling Stones. It's just that
Somehow I have not associated the two. I'm sure I've heard it at the games. I don't, so maybe that's a good thing, probably, that I don't have that association. I mean, and then there are like the occasional fight songs that aren't going to be the rev up ones, but like I hear We're Gonna Win Twins when the Twins take the field at Target Field. Okay, I mean, but I'm as a Twins fan, of course I'm going to get excited about that. And then any college fight song is going to apply. But it does seem like the go-tos are Enter Sandman, Welcome to the Jungle, those
Crazy
types of songs.
Train.
Yes.
I mean, in my era in high school too, that was when Trapped was coming out, Headstrong. So I mean, that was like on everybody's playlist. So bow season, it's Ted Nugent and Fred Bear. Gotta throw that one up here in the next month and a half to get ready for bow season for sure.
I feel like there's a Jock Jam or 3 in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, if you did have Jock Jams when you were my age, you were not doing it right. So
yeah,
Quad Cities DJs.
And then it's going from there. Yeah. Or something like
Hudson right now is big into walkout songs for listening to baseball players walkout songs.
Yes.
Some are very inappropriate. So we gotta like nix that.
G version.
He's got so his team, they do walkout songs. And he picked one. Yeah. For tournaments, they got walkout songs.
What is his?
Not a very popular one, but
among the kids or among the country?
Probably the country. Because it was on my playlist. See, this is how so if I hear a song, I'm not good with song names. That's why my favorite app is Shazam.
Yes.
Good choice. I was watching a documentary a few years ago on the History Channel, and there was this like song in the intro. I'm like, ooh, that's a really good pump up song. Born Ready by Zayd Wolf, I believe, is the name. But it's like, okay, this is a really so I had it on my playlist. He heard it, and that's his walk up song.
Wow. Not common.
Nope. It's not. It's not, but it's a very you hear the lyrics and such, it's a very good like pump up song. So that's his walkout song for baseball.
Interesting. Wow. Not too much is known. I mean, he does have a Wikipedia page for what it's worth.
Yeah, it was on a History Channel documentary. And I'm like, that's got a really good, like, I'm big into pump up songs, like motivate. Like, yeah. So when he was trying to figure his out, he was going through my playlist, and that's what he picked.
Interesting. One Dustin Burnett, aka Zayd Wolf. Zayde for anyone who's trying to Google it right now. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good one. So if you want to keep texting us your favorite sports songs of all time, let us know. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So we'll get back to more of your comments. I know a little bit earlier our resident opening training camp friend Randy is back at training camp. Goes every year, so he's already sent us a picture of being at training camp. That was last hour already. So big thanks for that. Randy usually chimes in this time of year, but he is over there, and that was, I think, the last time I was over at day one of training camp. Randy invited us to his house. Seabaum was with me. That was Jair Alexander's rookie year. It's been a hot minute. Yeah. I remember being pumped up about Jair, and boy, things change after a few years. So
that's one where I feel like time has gone way too fast. So I feel like Jair Alexander is still a relatively young player, and he's obviously not, but it feels like, oh, isn't he in like his rookie contract still? No, not even close. Wow, time is gone.
Sure has. See the, by the way, really quick before we have to take a break, the new Packers locker room?
Did not. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you some time to look at that. We'll hit that.
I will give that a yes. Okay, here we go. I will take a definite gander on the commercial break.
All right. Quick break. We got more baseball talk. We'll chat a little more football as well. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Coming up this Saturday at our good friends VFW Post at 3:05. Got a meat raffle starting at 2 p.m. this Saturday, July 26th. Join VFW Post 305 for the meat raffle to help send a local girl, Shannon, to Easter Seals Summer Camp, where people with disabilities get to enjoy swimming, boating, and just being outside. In addition to meat raffles, they'll also be featuring basket raffles, 50-50 raffles, as well as food and drink specials. So come on out this Saturday and help send Shannon to camp this summer. Again, it's this Saturday, July 26th, 2 p.m. at the VFW Post 305, located at 1300 Star Avenue. And again, a big thanks to VFW and Donna over there too, because she's going to help dedicate and volunteer some time for the golf outing next Friday. Next Friday, she's going to be over there and helping us out too. So big thanks to her and VFW Post 305 for being a partner of ours for the 5th annual Kasper Classic coming up next Friday at Lake Hallie Golf Course. So that should be, it's coming up right around the corner here. We'll get back to a few more texts coming up here. I know a couple of you have already chimed in about the Brewers and such, so we'll get to that here in a little bit. I'm going to switch gears for a hot second with training camp day one starting up here for the Packers. Practice will begin at 10:30. One of the few open practices for the Pack, and a couple more of you have also texted in that you're over there too. So thanks for that. But Packers will be on the practice field here in just a couple of hours. We're taking your top storyline. What's the top storyline that you have for the Packers as we enter day one of training camp? Top storyline for training camp and preseason. You can continue to send those on over. Again, hitting us up with a text or commenting on the socials. We'll ask JoJo, what is your top storyline for the Packers as we get set for training camp today?
Elton Jenkins.
Okay.
So Elton Jenkins trying to figure out what the Packers do with him. And again, I think he wants to get paid, and Green Bay right now doesn't want to pay him really past this season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's going to be interesting what happens with that situation really early on in training camp. I think if there is something that's going to be done, it's going to be done early on. I think Green Bay is counting on Elton Jenkins at that center position. I don't think Jacob Monk is ready to step in there. So they're at a crossroads. And obviously with Zach Tom getting his money, and Rasheed Walker also out there expecting a big payday, I think this is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Green Bay does and what Elton does, and really who blinks first.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it comes down to. Elton Jenkins, I don't think Green Bay wants to really give him more money moving forward. I don't think this is going to be an extension type of thing. I think it's going to be a redistribution of guaranteed dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really what it comes down to. So I think as we enter training camp, that would be my number one story.
See, I'm going to go. I kind of disagree a little bit, because I feel like Elton Jenkins, this is the last year of Elton Jenkins in Green Bay. I feel like this is the last year. So
I agree with you.
That's where I don't know if they want to put more guarantees for dead cap and into future stuff like
I'm
that
saying
too.
This year.
But that's where I feel like, it's a tricky situation too, because I don't know if Green Bay they want to kind of see how it goes with Elton Jenkins, kind of like what Rob Demoski was saying a little bit here too. So I think Elton Jenkins blinks first. I think he'll be there.
What? I think he'll be there, but I do think they restructure his deal for this year. I think he gets more guaranteed money this year without any guarantees or added years moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I think this is his last year. I believe he's 29 or 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't see those types of deals at this stage.
Yeah.
And so, I think we're probably saying the same thing, Captain. It's just, I think he gets a little bit more of a bump this year without adding on fake years or those types of things. Here's the question I want to ask you and throw it back. Zach Tom, good deal. And do you see, first of all, I think it is. Do you see Zach Tom, is he the right tackle of the future? Or eventually does he maybe swing over to that left side if they can't get a deal done with Rasheed Walker?
I think he's right tackle, and I think it was a bargain deal for Green Bay. I know, you look at the numbers and, the flashy number is, and this is, I think, strictly from an agent's point of view, is he got the most guaranteed or signing bonus of any offensive lineman in history. Third highest paid right tackle in the league behind Sewell and Lane Johnson at this point. But then you break it down by average per year and such, and figuring that the signing bonus is probably the only guaranteed portion of it, and knowing how those work at the cap hits go to the length of the contract. And I think the key thing here too is it's an extension, so you add in the other year here. I think it's actually a bargain for Green Bay, but I still feel like he's going to be the right tackle for this team going forward.
Yeah, and again, he's not the prototypical size for a right tackle, but at this point, I do agree with you. I mean, when you look at it, what Russ Ball was able to do with this deal, and I agree, I think it's a bargain. The base salary for 2025 is only a little over 1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so his cap for 2025 is only at 7.4 million. And so Green Bay still a little bit more than 31 million under the cap. So they could do a couple more extensions. They could go and facilitate a trade if they want to. I think going back to it, Captain, one thing I want to just say, I think Russ Ball, very underrated part of this Green Bay organization. And I think his ability to work the cap and work in concert with Brian Gutekunst, I think is really impressive. And I think Green Bay has a guy that Quay Walker. Are there some things out there that they can still move around? Could Green Bay still be in that trade market where they can take on a salary this year? So, yeah, I think it's a great deal. I think Zach Tom is an ascending player. And again, I love the fact that Green Bay has completely remade their offensive line in a quick fashion. I think Goody over the last couple of years has taken kind of an aging offensive line and maybe some question marks there. And I think he's really done a nice job of building around there. And I think also, Captain, when you look at the Banks signing, I think this really does signify a difference where Green Bay they're going to still do that zone blocking scheme, but I see them doing more of duo and man on man and that type of thing as well. So I tip my hat to Gutekunst with what he's been able to do with that O-line.
So with Zach Tom getting the extension done, who's priority number one? Devontae Wyatt's got the 5th-year option. You got Quay Walker, who Goody has talked numerous times about trying to extend and such. In January, Jane Reed, Tucker Kraft, those guys then become extension eligible. So let's kind of just focus on the guys who right now are extension eligible. Who do you think is next on that priority list?
I think in Goody's eyes, it's going to be Quay Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just reading between the lines on what he says. And how he speaks of Quay Walker and also how his teammates speak of him. I look at Xavier McKinney and some other quotes that we've seen talking about the potential that Quay Walker really has. And so I think in Goody's eyes and in Russ Ball's eyes, I think it becomes Quay Walker. I think at that point, then they let this thing play out as the season goes on. And I think you're going to see another extension probably in season. And so, again, Green Bay doing a really nice job of managing the cap and getting out of cap hell and putting themselves in a position to really follow through on the draft and develop plan, because the key to draft and develop is the develop part.
Mm-hmm.
The three of us in this room right now could draft. And so, again, I'm pretty confident we could draft. I don't know how successfully, but the three of us could draft. It's that develop part that's key. And once you develop that player, that's when that second contract comes into play.
Looking at the corners outside of Hobbs and Nixon and Valentine, there's probably a lot of question marks surrounding that. Whether, I know there's fans excited about Kalen King, but the fact of the matter is we didn't see him at all last year. You got some other, second-year options over there. When you look at that group, is that a group that you're going to be, because I think that's when you look at training camp and preseason. I don't really look at, the starters as much. It's those backup guys and those role players whose numbers might be called upon in the regular season. And I'm looking at that cornerback group, and I know Javon Bullard, you can factor him in as the nickel roll over there too. But I look at that as maybe 2 or 3 spots potentially opened for this roster. When I look, and could it be something similar to the backup quarterback position last year where Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt weren't getting the job done, so Goody trades for Malik Willis? That's a possibility. Maybe if something doesn't work out or they're just not getting that production, maybe they bring a veteran in. To me, that's the group I'm focusing on the most in this training camp. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And I thought it was interesting, Captain. Did you see the tribute by the players to Mark Murphy?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when you look at who's on that tribute video, all right, so Keyshawn Nixon is on that tribute video. I think Green Bay thinks very, very highly of him. I think Keyshawn Nixon, in my opinion, it could be one of those guys under the radar that all of a sudden he gets an extension if he plays well this year. So, I think Keyshawn Nixon, as far as 1265 goes, I think he's a big part of that. But when you look at that group in totality, yeah, I agree. When you're looking at Micah Robinson potentially being running with the twos this offseason and this training camp, with Kalen King running with the twos. Obviously, we know a little bit more about Carrington Valentine, but then you get names like Isaiah Dunn and Kamal Haddon and those kind of guys. And so, yeah, I agree. I think your analogy and your corollary to what Goody did last year with Malik Willis, I think it's perfect. If some of these guys aren't stepping up, and you don't have the depth you thought, or you don't have the developing or ascending player you thought, maybe Kalen King, again, isn't that guy. I do see that as the position group that Goody goes out and says, you know what, we've got to go make a trade or we've got to sign someone. And that, again, goes back to why it's so important to have that cap slush fund during the year. So if you do need to make a move, you don't have to hesitate.
Mm-hmm. With Mark Murphy officially, I mean, Friday's his last day when they're at the shareholders and such, since you mentioned Mark Murphy here. When you think about his legacy and you think about the different things, I mean, you talk about a career. Yes, he's got the Super Bowl, but navigating the Favre, Rodgers, and then Rodgers, Jordan Love, Titletown, draft, bringing the draft over there. I feel like there's fans, though, that will look at Murphy and maybe not as much of a positive light as like a Bob Harlan or such in that, which I think Mark Murphy did a fantastic job in his role as president for the Packers. But when you think about Mark Murphy's tenure, what's something that you will kind of maybe look back on? Is it the draft, bringing the draft to Green Bay? Is it Titletown? Is it the championship? Because I think some fans are going to say, well, he should have won more. Well, yeah, they probably should have won more with Favre and Rodgers over there, but I don't know how much of a factor he was in all of that. So when you assess the job that Mark Murphy has done, what kind of comes to your mind, or how would you assess the job that he did?
I think there's two, and I think the recency effect is the draft, of course, and Mark Murphy started talking about the draft as early as 2016, from my recollection. So the recency effect is bringing the NFL draft to Green Bay. But I think really, when you look, if you go up to Green Bay and you see the Titletown district, and again, from an aesthetic standpoint, yeah, it looks cool, bells and whistles, et cetera, et cetera. From a financial standpoint, what that has meant to Green Bay. And again, we all know Green Bay's ownership situation, and we all know revenue sharing in the NFL is by far the best out of any professional league. Yep. So I'm not saying Green Bay would have struggled without Titletown, but the fact that he really rebuilt that area and turned that into an investment for the Green Bay Packers, I think for the long haul, that is his legacy. Yes, the Super Bowls, navigating through, Favre and Rodgers and Love, and rebuilding the structure of the Packers at the time, where all three guys report to him rather than a traditional hierarchical structure. So, I think all of those things play into it. But what he was able to do for Green Bay financially with Titletown, I think the long-term legacy, that's where Mark Murphy sits. And I don't think he gets as much credit. And I think going back a ways, you and I have been talking Green Bay for a long time now. And I think you and I were critical of some of his public comments, especially about Aaron Rodgers and that type of thing. And so, I don't think he gets credit where credit is due. But the baton handoff between Bob Harlan and Mark Murphy, we talk about the quarterback handoff. Those quarterbacks don't happen without Bob Harlan handing off to Mark Murphy.
Mhm.
And so I look at, when you talk about, we always say the Mount Rushmore of Green Bay and the resurgence of Green Bay. Certainly Bob Harlan needs to be up there.
Mhm.
I think the next generation, 20 years from now, we're going to be saying the same thing about Mark Murphy.
Mhm. You know, with him too, and I know a complaint from Packers fans over the years has been, has Green Bay gone too corporate? You know, like where they're not as that small town fan friendly sort of thing, and I get it to extent. I mean, I miss tailgating in the Kmart parking lot like I did
Yeah,
when I was
sure.
younger too, and all that. But at the same time, it's the time. It's 2025, right? I mean, you have to adapt or die, right? Sort of thing. And yeah, I of course miss, you know, the roadway in right next to Lambeau Field and just having this small hotel or sidelines bar right next to it, you know, that nostalgia feel. But at the same time, you can't go about that that same way in 2025. So that's where I give Mark Murphy a ton of credit for you know, getting Titletown done and developing that, because I think you have to do stuff like that in this day and age in sports.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And look, I think when you look at the renovations of Lambeau Field, I think they did an excellent job. And when you go around and look at other stadiums, when you look at Lambeau Field, the renovations, I think they were able to keep that old school feeling.
Mhm.
And I think that nostalgic feeling. And I think, you know, they always, the ghosts of Lambeau Field, I think they're still there. But I think the amenities that you bring to the table now, you can still build that old school, that nostalgic culture with better amenities and with better things where fans say, wow, that was a tremendous experience. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think Green Bay really, truly has done a tremendous job of keeping things homey,
Mhm.
but also being able to turn a profit and say, look, guys, we're a for-profit business. And so I do think that Green Bay has done a tremendous job. And that's why, again, the structure in Green Bay, the hiring of Bob Harlan and his decision at that point to hand everything over to Ron Wolf, and Mark Murphy keeping that tradition and building upon it. And that's why I think this hire moving forward with policy, I think he has the potential to be the Jordan Love, if you will.
Mhm.
You know, when you compare it, you know, Brett Favre was the Harlan and Mark Murphy was the Rodgers. And now you've got Jordan Love, of course. And now I think policy could be that Jordan Love guy where Green Bay could say, wow, three consecutive tenures of excellence at that position. And I
Mhm.
think, again, without that position being with what it is, and again, I can speak old school, 70s and 80s Green Bay Packers, part of the problem was the structure.
Mhm.
There wasn't defined roles. There were too many situations where, you know, Bart Starr and someone else had equal footing when it came to a personnel decision. And so to make this more about a business, I think makes sense. And the bottom line is, let the football coaches and the football guys work on the on-field stuff and the personnel stuff, and let Mark Murphy and the other guys work on the business of football. And
Mhm.
I think that separation of roles, I think, makes them successful.
And you mentioned Ed Policy. To me, you know, obviously he's been with Green Bay for a long time too,
Mhm.
but we know the family legacy comes from with his dad
Yep.
being with the 49ers in the 90s and such. I mean, and that he's just got such a huge football background. But being with Green Bay over these last few years, which was different than Mark Murphy, who came over from Northwestern, and
Yep.
Mark Murphy was kind of like the second choice.
Right.
So was it John Jones? I believe his name was supposed to be the next guy
and
up.
then actually he was offered the position.
Mhm.
And then
Health issues, I think he
health
had.
issues, and there were some other things going on at the
Yep.
time. But yeah, so you ended up with your second choice, and your second choice probably was better than your first.
Mhm.
And so that's one of those where sometimes things do work out when you go to that second
Right.
choice. And so yeah, I think finding Murphy, and again, hats off to Bob Harlan,
Mhm.
and the job that he did. And again, I think Murphy building policy, and everyone thought Russ Ball was always going to be the guy.
Mhm.
Well, Russ Ball, again, like we talked about earlier, he's carved out such a cool niche for himself to specialize in the cap. I don't think you want to mess up with, you don't want to mess that up.
Mhm.
So again, I just tip my hat, and I think the players' tribute to Mark Murphy was special. I think looking back at the videos from the draft, very special. And I think the next time you go to Green Bay and you experience Titletown or some of the other amenities around it, I think you say, wow, we are a very, very, very um, fortunate franchise
Mm-hmm.
to have this kind of leadership and this kind of structure.
Mm-hmm. Off the wall question now with Green Bay, but it's been something I've been thinking about for the last few days, and I can't remember who. I can't remember where I thought of this, but some stadiums and teams put statues outside. Green Bay's got a couple of them,
Mhm.
right? Curly, Vince. I know there's a Bart Starr one in the Bart Starr Plaza outside the Rush Center.
Yep.
But Green Bay's legacy, we know, is deep. A lot of people. If you were to add one statue next to Lombardi and Lambeau, who is that? Who is that?
One statue.
One more statue. Like, who gets the next one next to Lambeau and Lombardi?
Ooh, that's a
tough one.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And so does it have to be a coach?
No. It could be a player, could be a coach, could be an executive.
All right, you know what? I'm going to say Bart Starr.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put him there. I know he's already got the one at Bart Starr Plaza.
Yep.
But when you look at player, general manager, and coach, because he was coach and general manager for a while, I think what he meant to the franchise, and then the ambassador role that he played afterwards, even though his tenure as coach and general manager did not go well, he was still an ambassador for the Green Bay Packers. And so I think when you look at that kind of longevity, I would say Bart. And then it gets tricky after that.
It does.
It really does. You could say, you could go back to the 60s. You could tip your hat to maybe a Forrest Gregg at that point, who didn't have a successful coaching career as well, but also was named one of the top players of all time in Green Bay. So there's a lot of, I would say that Starr probably the only one, in my opinion, that deserves to be a part of those two, because it just what he meant to the franchise. And without Bart Starr, I don't think they win those championships in the 60s, because he was the perfect guy for Vince Lombardi's offense.
And I have the perfect, they need to reach out to me. I've got the perfect position that he should be in for that statue.
Okay.
It's got to be the sneak.
Oh, it totally has to be the sneak.
It's got to be the sneak.
Yeah.
Where he's huddled down.
Do you put Chuck Mercine then behind him with the
I think you
hands
do,
up?
and you got Jerry Kramer in front and all
I like
that.
If you were to do that, then you could actually, then it's almost iconic from a situational or game standpoint.
Yep.
So basically, I think the solution is the biggest Packer moment as opposed to another player. Because I was thinking Starr too, as you're saying this, but this gets back into the whole Starr or Favre or Rodgers.
Well, it kind of would fit then, because they've got the Lambeau Leap statue.
They do have the leap statue.
where you can take the picture. It's a moment.
That's right. Yeah. That way you can get around the individual player, because everyone go Ice Bowl. Who's going to argue with that?
Yeah, right. No, I think Lucas coming out of the Minnesota woods just hit it.
I know, just out of a loon or something like that. But and I know they've got that in the museum. Having out that was one of the two coolest parts of my museum tour when I went through there back in 2011. That, and also where they had the wall. Even though they have the sign that says "Don't do the Lambeau Leap," and I did the Lambeau Leap.
Well, everyone does.
Yeah, I know, but right, yeah. But that was the coolest part, walking through there like you're actually in it. Put that on do a second one outside.
Yeah,
indoor, outdoor. I love it.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. Now, by the way, real quick, and I tweeted this out at you. "Eye of the Tiger" was Mac's bench song for high school football for me. I mean, I remember being in the basement of Beloit Catholic High School, where the weight room was, and Mac's bench day, we'd always have to play "Eye of the Tiger," and it was always "Eye of the Tiger, man, Eye of the Tiger." So when you brought that up, you immediately transported me back to senior year 1984 Beloit Catholic High.
You were 1 year away from Training Montage and Rocky IV soundtrack.
Right, I know. Yeah. I know.
Then you could have put on your boots and run through the mountains of Beloit.
I gotta tell you, man. A tear came to my eye driving in this morning, hearing you speak of "Eye of the Tiger" as far as iconic songs from a stadium standpoint. I almost, matter of fact, I think I'm going to go work out after this, and I'm going to do Mac's bench day today because I'm fired up.
I still have the Rocky IV soundtrack too, if you want to borrow it on CD.
Oh. See, when you guys talked about jock jams and the other things earlier today, I was just like, now you're speaking my language. I just had my 40th high school reunion. I did not go to it. But it happened. And so for you to bring me back to 1984, Captain, I salute you today. That was a moment that this gray beard I could probably die happily right now.
You don't want that right now. Just walk up studio, then you can do that.
Okay,
We don't wanna,
not in the studio.
yeah, not in. We
We
don't
don't
want
wanna
the
have to
mess.
clean you up.
We don't
wanna
want
have
the
to clean
mess.
you up.
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. So, well, happy training camp day, Joe. Appreciate you stopping by.
I always love it, Captain. Always love it. It's a good time of year. It is football season.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is. So, all right, we got to take a really quick break here as we finish up the second hour, but we'll be back in just a couple minutes. You know what else we got to do next hour too, Lucas, is the official announcement of the Lindsey Pipkins Memorial Watch Player.
Okay, here we go.
So we'll do that next hour.
Unveiling
the pick of the Packer player to watch for this training camp and preseason.
So these are prospective ones.
Mm-hmm. That bottom of the roster, rookie, undrafted, 7th round pick, the surprise player that will make the team. I'm going to make that pick this year.
I like that his Instagram handle is Pippi Longsock.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not quite spelled that way, but if you Google Lindsey Pipkins, you'll find it. He's still very active. He's dressing well nowadays.
So you had a chance to see the new locker room.
Snazzy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, but and granted, the comments that appear at the top are always going to be the ones that get the most, are the ones that are getting the most replies. That's not necessarily representative, but I'm seeing a lot of, I missed the old one. Like, y'all knew what the old one really looked like. I forgot. I had to do the before and after. I mean, okay, it's updated. I think it looks good.
This is where I will tip the cap to Green Bay. Like, and I'll be honest, when, the other ones, I didn't, from just looking at it, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought it looked, but if we go back to those NFL PA report cards, that come out the last couple of years. The big negative that Green Bay, or one of the big negatives Green Bay has gotten, they didn't get a lot. Right? I mean, I think their lowest grade was B-, but the common one every year was locker room update, locker room update, locker room update. So I give Green Bay credit for listening to their players, because Kansas City Chiefs players have been really complaining about that. And what did they do last year? They got new folding chairs by their lockers instead of a whole locker room renovation.
They got chairs.
So they got chairs.
Sweet.
So
they also win the Super Bowl a lot,
yeah, that too. But I will give Green Bay credit. They listen to their players and like, okay, you guys feel like this is a need that we have to update it. So what did they do? They went ahead and did it.
The thing that jumped out most to me was the redoing of the ceiling with that grate effect, of little round rivets, or not rivets, but holes in that. It's a pretty neat effect. Where, because it's in the same spot it's always been. Because I remember I took a Lambeau tour. Oh gosh, it's been a long time. I'm trying to remember where it is. Yeah, because you go up the tunnel, and if you're going up the tunnel, then you take a left, I think, and then you get towards the locker room, I believe. Okay, that's that same spot. Yeah, because at first I'm looking at it like, did they put that in that new, like, underground expanded? Yeah. That's no. It's in the same spot, so it's actually in the stadium-ish.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
And I did not know they were doing it. I think that caught a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah.
So
LED lights and all sorts of stuff.
It's what the younger players like these days.
Hey, and that was one of the comments to it. Like, okay, if this is what gets them to come to a place like Green Bay when they would have not a lot of other reasons to want to come to Green Bay, fine. And it's not that. It's not like, oh gosh, now we got to introduce new blah 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 that's going to offend it. Come on, it's a locker room. The last locker room was an upgrade over the prior locker room. For all the nostalgia for the old one, Lombardi was not in that locker room. When Lombardi was alive, it was open air parking lot. Okay, all right. Let's hold up here with the heritage of the Packers with their old locker room.
Exactly.
So it's another era, and then they'll build another one in 15, 20 years.
Exactly. Okay. Yep. Definitely. So, Brewers, just talking a little bit more about the Brewers. I have not read it all, but Bob Nightingale's got a piece up on USA Today talking about the Brew Crew. The island of misfit toys. Milwaukee Brewers are an island of misfit toys and Major League Baseball's hottest team. So, I mean, again, you can I think you could probably get the gist of it. A lot of no names, even Isaac Collins said, no one knows who we are. He said he walks around town and maybe got recognized once or twice. So I'll be honest. If I saw Isaac Collins walking down the street, I probably wouldn't recognize him either.
No idea.
Christian Yelich? Yes, I would recognize Christian Yelich. William Contreras? Yes.
Pat Murphy? I would know who he is. Yes.
Jackson Chiriot? Yes. Sal Frelick? Of course.
Well, duh.
But,
stalker.
So Isaac Collins?
No.
Probably not. No offense to him, but still. But again, I think you kind of get the sense of what the whole piece is kind of like. But let's be real here. We're 61 games into this thing. In the Brewers, tied for the best. Yesterday were the best. Now tied for the best. Nobody had that on their bingo card. How impressed are you as an outsider looking in about what this Brewers team is doing right now?
Wildly impressed. I think my prediction at the beginning of the year was this is going to be one of those off years. It happens. And not everything's going to click in some unexpected way. And this will be the Cubs year. It'll be definitely the Reds year because I had them on. And they're playing well. I did not think it was all good. Well, did any of us really think that back in May? This has turned around fast mid-season. My simple rating system look from Baseball Reference. Remember, I said 0.8 is one of the best. They had, like last year they had that. They're up to a 0.8 right now. At this point of the season, lots to go. So we're talking historically great. It's not the best because 82 was the best by that ranking or rating. Sorry, they're good. Very impressed.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. It's still 61 games left to go here. It'll be interesting to see how this team kind of now reacts to being chased because they're not the chasee, right? They're now the ones getting chased, getting hunted down and such. I mean, we got a wild finish for the division between Cubs and Brewers again, this year and such. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how this all plays out. But man, I'm shocked. I'm surprised. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs this year. I know we got 61 more to go here, so a lot can change here. But boy, to me, this is almost like if you don't have a favorite baseball team, the Brewers are a team you could easily jump on and be America's team.
You could,
Right?
I mean, if you're
Small
not,
budget, small market team, no big personalities except Pat Murphy, who's kind of like a blue collar type of guy, anyways. This is kind of like a team that I think a lot of people could jump on board, and be fans of.
Well,
so.
they're underdog-ish. There's the euchre thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's riding over all of this. Which I guess you can thread it back to Major League for those who are more old to. Gosh, I can't say old enough to remember, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I did think of the euchre thing there too. Winning for euchre,
strong.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right, we'll talk some more Brewers. We got a quick break, news updates, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, here we go. Final hour on this Wednesday. Just cruising on through in this heat sauna of a studio right now. So she's a little muggy.
Yeah.
A little muggy. Can't wait to get to our new one. I think that'll be a little
Should be
bit
pretty
more
soon.
open space in there too. So, but we appreciate you tuning in, chiming in, hitting us up with some messages and such, which we'll get to here in just a little bit. We're looking for your number one, numero uno storyline for the pack as we open up training camp. I got to imagine the live stream of bikes is going to start here fairly soon with day one of practice set to begin at about 10:30. So
It'd be kind of wild if the players came out with
the new helmet.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
all wearing the helmet, just like that's how it is. Like they're all waiting in like a room, and right before the door opens, like, here, quick, put the helmets on, so there's no leaking. That would be pretty cool.
That would be, and that'd be pretty genius
It would
marketing. It really would.
Gosh,
So.
that would be good with the bikes. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Brewers, they're going to be back at it this afternoon. Final game of this series with Seattle, 2:40 first pitch. Quinn Priester looking for his 9th win on the season. Brewers looking to bounce back and get more than 2 hits than they did last night. But that's a shout out to Logan Gilbert, who was fantastic for the Mariners as well. So now we're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline, which, by the way, our good buddy Brandon's going to be on tomorrow, and he's been working on a trade primer for us.
Ooh, cool.
So make sure to listen to that because he won't be on Friday because he's actually going to the Brewer game to take in the Alumni Home Run Derby too.
Nice.
So it's a Friday afternoon game. It's a Friday afternoon, a little bit different.
Mhm.
3:10, I think, is first pitch for Friday. So, but Jeff Passon's got his trade deadline preview for the Brewers. He's got biggest need outfielder and shortstop. Best fits is Garcia from Kansas City, but he did acknowledge, to be clear, Kansas City has shown no inclination to move Garcia, who can play all around the diamond. So they the Athletic has also updated their big board. I was kind of curious, would they take away some of those Red Sox players on there? And there is a new number one, and it is a twinnie. Joe Ryan is the number one player on their top 50 trade deadline big board. So
I don't think Joe Ryan's going to go. He's under enough control for a while. I mean, if they really want to get a haul, that's probably the best way to do it.
There's 3 twins in the top 10, actually.
Jackson, Duran, I'm guessing, are the other 2.
Jackson's 10, Duran is 6. So,
tough to tell. I mean, that Rockies series, yeesh. And then they beat the Dodgers last night. And I know that's 1 out of 162, but I don't think Joe Ryan ultimately goes. I think Duran and Jax definitely are going to be efforted to move. That's how it came out wrong, but you know what I mean. They're gonna try on those 2. I don't know that they go any further. And again, here is your weekly reminder: Byron Buxton cannot be traded. He's got a no trade clause,
and he's already said he wants to stay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
cool. I mean,
which I appreciate. I'm not a Twins fan, but in a world of sports where we see these all-stars and superstars and ring chasing, for him to come out and say, and he's not a Minnesota native either, so he's from Georgia,
as we know from the home run derby.
For him to say, this is home, this is where I want to be, I ain't moving, I appreciate that as a fan.
I think it's like, I kind of felt the same way once he said that, and I had a bit of a perspective change on him right there. Like, because of all of his injuries and all the missed time, without regard to contracts, go, okay, if my favorite team isn't going to do that well, but would they have a player who's doing well, unusually well, like in a non-injury sense, you take advantage of that, try to get back because the team is the most important part. As much as fandom seems to be erring more towards individuals and teams nowadays, fundamentally, I'm more of a Twins fan than a Byron Buxton fan always will be. Okay, if we get to a point where we go, all right, everyone, let's realize he's not going to move. He can't. I mean, I guess he could rescind the no trade clause. He could okay it, fine. But realistically, if that's not going to happen, then okay, let's sit back and enjoy this era.
Mhm.
Might as well. And we'll probably get frustrated with future injuries, but if he's performing well right now, cool. Let's make him a fan favorite once and for all, and have a nice thing about the Twins because they've had enough not great things of late. Sure. So I guess I feel better about Byron Buxton in a weird way
Yeah.
because of those comments. Not about him, like his perspective on this, but about the whole Byron Buxton as Minnesota Twin.
Mhm.
I mean, I think he probably moves up a little bit in terms of, oh gosh, I just realized what I'm doing. Legacy talk.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing now, like a legacy. Okay, but what is his Twins' legacy? Well, the answer is we don't know yet because it's not done. So let's shut that down right now. But I think you can see where the long-term perspective is going to be better because he
Mhm.
says, I want to stay here. I got a no-trade clause, and I'm going to stick around this team. And especially if he does not get injured going forward, of course, there'll always be what could have beens.
Mhm.
But it looks better right now.
Yep. Just reading a little bit from Passon, by the way. Talking about, the best fit and Garcia and such. He kind of goes on to say, there are no clear holes on this roster. The Brewers are inverted practitioners of common sense systems that produce good players. They do everything very well. Draft, sign international players, develop, trade, and sign free agents on a limited budget. Unlike past years, they are not going to try to thread the add, subtract needle. Their starting pitching depth is envious, and their bullpen much, much better than it gets credit for. Perhaps they could snag a corner outfielder or a super utility man as much as Josh Naylor or Ryan O'Hearn would fit the bill at first base and balance their lineup. The Brewers tend to not make lavish moves at the deadline, which is why adding Suarez to play third over Caleb Durbin, who's hitting 318, 398, 465 since May 21st, is not in the cards. The one line on here, there are no clear holes on this roster. You agree with that? I mean, this was Passon, who a few weeks ago did say they're one power bat away from being a legitimate World Series contender. Now, a lot has changed though, too.
That's the thing. Like they've got better bats overall. They don't have one big power bat, but they got a lot of smaller, good bats. Maybe that's what you want, because if that power bat doesn't do well, then who else do you have?
Right.
So I like how they've diversified their portfolio, if we're going to use that analogy. That's essentially what they've done. And I don't want to say unwittingly so, but it's worked out for them. So no, I still think they're going to make a trade. I don't think it's going to be Eugenio Suarez or a major Alex Bregman, something, which that's probably not happening anyway. I don't think it's going to be someone big, but it's going to be something they're going to do. They're not standing pat, as the saying.
The thing that I'm really curious about is, yes, they've got starting pitch. Nestor Cortez is coming back here soon. Then, Tobias Myers on the roster. And you would think, oh, they could trade like a Nestor Cortez and, alleviate some of that. But for me, the curious thing to me is going to be, okay, if they are managing Mizorowski and Brandon Woodruff with their pitch counts, do they elect to keep those starters, then do the piggyback so they're protected a little bit in that aspect? You know what I mean? Like, Mizorowski was obviously on a short pitch count last night. Now, the way they kind of said it was, they kind of phrased it was just for that game, but I got to imagine it's going to be something for the rest of the season. Brandon Woodruff is also, they're managing that until they feel really comfortable with that. So, with a week to go for the trade deadline, do they keep the likes of a Nestor Cortez and such because they want to have that protection? And you look at their bullpen. DL Hall's got starting experience. Aaron Ashby's got starting experience. They got guys that can give you multiple innings. Tobias Myers. So they're set up for that. But do they keep those guys because they know a couple guys are going to be on a pitch count for the rest of the season? That's going to be intriguing to watch.
Because I almost wonder, like, okay, if you had to choose a pitcher or a batter, who should the Brewers acquire? In a very generic sense, which one are you prioritizing right now?
Bat.
Okay. You're probably going. You don't have to. It depends on where your assets are within the organization. But you're probably giving up some pitching.
Yeah.
But if the goal is to win October games, which the Brewers are on a streak of not doing so, again, small sample size because sometimes it's one game or two games that they lose in one postseason. If you want to get past that, you need to have your pitching all set. Yes, they've had really good pitching before, and then their batting goes kaput. So maybe that bites them. They can do all of this work and have Cortez spelling for Mizorowski, et cetera, and they get there and they pitch great and lose 2-1-0 games because their bats shut down. I'm having flashbacks to like the Atlanta series right now. Essentially, that's what it is.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right.
Well, okay, but that's also one of your strong suits right now. And figure that usually pitching does work in the postseason. Knowing how the vagaries of the postseason, we've talked about that so many times. Get ready to talk about it again because that's what happens in baseball. I think then you got to go with what you know is your best option right now, and that is getting your pitching depth even stronger. So I would prioritize keeping those guys, and if that means you don't get a bat and maybe actually end up getting more pitching, maybe do that. Figure you can shut down enough other teams and then maybe win a 1-0, 2-0 game with your bats this time, as opposed to losing with your bats.
Right. It's going to be. It's like
nothing's happening.
Yeah, a lot of teams I think are just kind of waiting in the weeds. Maybe kind of. Well, first, I mean, there's probably a couple teams waiting to see if they're going to decide to be buyers or sellers or stand pat. The other part, and earlier in the week we had some people chime in like. Now it's the point where you got some people saying they don't want the Brewers to make a move to mess up the chemistry, to mess up the mojo in the locker room. And I guess my counter to that would be, I trust that clubhouse. I trust Pat Murphy. I trust the leaders on that team where it wouldn't mess up the chemistry, because I'm not expecting them to do a Josh Hader type of move where it's going to just screw everything up.
Which it did.
It did. And that obviously messed with the mojo within that locker room or that clubhouse. I don't see that happening. So I guess I trust Murphy and those guys to where if they were to add somebody in, the chemistry would still kind of stay the same.
Yeah. I think they're doing a good enough job managing the overall team. Yeah, they're not punting on this season. Because, okay, if a punt would be probably Freddie Peralta going.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
that would be worse, I think, in my opinion, than Josh Hader.
You're saying then you're not going anywhere in the postseason.
Yep.
And
exactly.
I guess I get it from a longer term perspective. The Hader one made sense at the time, and it also was like, what are you doing? Like, like it was conflicting points of view. And ultimately, was it the right move? I mean, I think ultimately, I think it was the right move. It sacrificed that season, probably literally by a game. They were out, but it was probably the right move. I don't know why you would do Freddie Peralta short of trying to save money long term.
Right. Well, and the thing is he's on the books for only $8 million next year anyway. So it's not like, and the Hader one, I get it in the off season, but at that point in time, I didn't get it. You still had a year left with him arbitration and such. So, but this one would be, that's why these people out there are saying trade Peralta for Suarez or that's just the dumbest thing I think I've heard right now.
No,
you do not do that.
I wouldn't do that.
You don't even, if somebody even called Matt Arnold, I'd hope Matt Arnold would hang up the phone on that and be like, yeah, no thanks. Talk to me in the off season. Then I'll talk about it.
Yeah. I don't see that at all.
Especially, Suarez, who is legit a rental, whereas at least Peralta, you have another year of control on. To me, that's more valuable. Like, I would want more than just Suarez if you're trading Freddie Peralta for, you know what I mean? Like, I'd want more.
You'd have to have a lot of other players that are about to go, and this is we're in it, we're going all in kind of situation, knowing that 2026 is going to be a guaranteed rebuild. So I could understand Suarez under that circumstance. This is not that circumstance. This is a team that maybe not with these particular players, but they sure seem like they're going to keep generating themselves over the next few years. That's the structure of the team, of the franchise period. So yes.
Yep. I agree. All right, let's take a quick break. We've got stock reports coming up, and then coming up here a little bit too, the Lindsey Pipkins watch list pick memorial. We'd never really settled on a name other than it's just Lindsey Pipkins.
The Lindsey Pipkins Memorial Player of the Year or something.
Yeah. At AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, they're not just about getting the job done, they're about doing it the right way. Whether it's vehicle repairs, small engine work, or towing services, their team is there to provide top-notch customer service every time. With years of experience and a commitment to keeping you on the road, AJM Automotive is your go-to for reliable service when you need it most. No job is too big or small. Just visit AJM Automotive in Eau Claire today or give them a call to set up your appointments, whether it's an oil change, maybe get some tires or some brake works done. 715-835-9523. Let's do stock reports before we do the award watch list. More of a watch list, not really awards.
Yeah, we don't know how they're actually going to do it.
Right,
They haven't had training camp.
We'll do that. Let's do stock reports. Whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling. We'll start with stock fallers.
The Los Angeles Dodgers, which Brewers fans know quite well because of what happened in the last series, and Twins fans have gotten a 50-50 look there. I mean, came pretty close to 2 in a row, given the almost game-tying home run at the end of the game on Monday. Okay, I figured the Dodgers would probably not be one of the like all-time best teams we've ever seen. Did not think their bullpen was going to be a complete freaking nightmare. Did a lot of people on the injured list. Looks like another's heading there. This is a rough team right now. It's also still July, so I don't want to make any grand pronouncements of they're not going to repeat. Well, let's see what happens. We'll make a grand pronouncement during the World Series. Short of that, though, they are definitely trending downward. And broadly speaking, one injury can beget another, and suddenly you find yourself in a spot where, we're not going to pull out of this at all. And that could end up happening with them, and that keeps them from repeating as champions.
That's a good one. My stock faller, the whole NFLPA situation issue. I was listening to JC Tretter's interview on Dan Patrick yesterday. I don't know if anybody else was doing it, but kudos to DP. And he kind of talked about afterwards, he was getting texts from his sources within the league and such saying, like, don't let him off the hook. And you could tell in the questioning, like he was really trying to get something and such. There seems to be a lot more like JC Tretter, former Packer center, now, has resigned from NFLPA president and such. There seems to be a lot more stuff that's being not told. And it seems to be a very messy situation with the NFL players' leadership. If I was a player, I would be upset and questioning a lot of stuff going on right now.
Did you read the ESPN story?
I have not. I saw it up there, but
I read through it earlier this morning. The Don Vanetta, Kalen Kaler article, and it's not a super long read, but it's a long enough fish read, and you come out of it going, yeah.
So. That's the NFLPA right now, I would say. It's my stock.
They're not
faller.
in a good spot now.
Nope.
Agreed.
Stock risers.
Pat Murphy, specifically, it's tempting to say the Brewers right now, and that would be a very obvious one. Obviously, his managing approach, he could very easily be the opposite of total analytics, whatever the book says. And he's not the opposite of analytics, but doing what it takes to win. So, understanding that the other team that is tied for first place, understanding that before I make this statement here. I'm not going to make another grand pronouncement right now, but let's tee this up here. Maybe you've talked about this before. Depending on how the Brewers season finishes, could we start to say Pat Murphy is a better Brewers manager than Craig Counsell?
Oh, yeah. I knew you were going to go there. Yeah.
I mean, and I know the sample size is 1.5 years versus a lot longer and a good track record overall. Say what you want to do with the world.
And that's not a knock on Counsell because Counsell's a good manager.
He's one of the best out there. And again, that's what I mean. Look at the Cubs. Yes, I know talent, blah, blah. Well, he's managing them. Usually doing pretty well. Given the resources that Murphy has, given the way the team is playing, and an almost unpredictable way. That thought crossed my mind the other day of like, dang, I think he's day-to-day managing this team even better still.
I mean, because I don't think you're far off. To me, and I think this kind of gets lost when we talk about baseball managers. They're different than an NBA coach, an NFL head coach. You're managing. You're managing people. You're it's not all scheming and figuring out when to pull this guy, and you're also managing people and their personalities and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot more to it. And I just look at what Pat Murphy has done, and you look at the roster of this team and how, like I asked Justice this on Monday, how beneficial do you think it's been for the Brewers to have Pat Murphy, who spent how many years at the college level? Because you wonder with how well that relates to these younger players, because he has been at that level. He knows about those younger players, but he's also got that mixture of a ton of major league experience. You know, he's interim manager for the Padres for a hot minute before being bench coach for all those years. You don't see that in baseball with managers, right? We don't see that intertwining of such a college level coach in all the major league baseball. I mean, you're kind of seeing it a little bit with the NFL. We got to get the player who just retired or that catcher that just retired. You know, it's one of those things. Very rarely do you see a team give Pat Murphy at his age a shot, right? And you look at his background and you just see the makeup of the team, and it's like, man, is that a perfect fit? And
might be a unicorn,
right? And I give a ton of credit to Matt Arnold because, well, he made the hire. But then I remember last year when Mark Anasio was talking about it, he even admitted, he's like, yeah, I didn't think Pat Murphy was probably going to get it. Didn't know a whole lot about him. Probably thought they were going to get somebody else. And I'm just like, that's the owner. That's the owner saying that. and Matt Arnold could have easily went outside the organization to bring somebody in instead of just promoting Pat Murphy. And I even think after they hired Pat Murphy, what probably got a little bit more talk was, oh, Ricky Weeks is the associate manager. He's not bench coach. He's so it's going to be like a couple years, and then Ricky Weeks is going to be like, it still could be. But right now, I don't want Pat Murphy to go anywhere.
No. How long can he stick around? Again, he's older, but he's not super old.
No.
He's 66. He's still got some years left in him.
Heck, the guy's got little kids yet.
Yeah.
Those are his kids.
Right. So I think he's probably, and again, still, it's a year and a half. We've got a ways to go. There can be, we're still in the zone where you can have other plausible explanations for the success of the Brewers. Doing so well last year, doing so well this year. But from what I've seen, what you've seen, what all of us have seen, there sure seem to be a lot of managing decisions. Bunts? Hello? Like, that is like an analytical no-no nowadays. And they're doing it, and they're succeeding with it. They are exploiting holes in other teams. And they're taking an approach that not every team can take.
You mentioned the bunt thing, too, where you're not supposed to do that. Is that also a credit to Murphy? Like, hey, we know analytics say you're not supposed to do that, so defenses aren't prepared.
Probably, yeah. Like that, you're taking the analytics to one step. Okay, cool. All right. So if they're thinking that. So all right now. Okay, go do this.
Right
at this point. That again, put intelligence into the game. The smart teams. You can have a very smart analytical approach. There are plenty of teams that do that. Rays are probably a great example of that. Take a more analytical approach with not a lot of resources. By and large, they're a pretty successful organization given what they have. Brewers take a different approach, and that's working. Will it be enough to win a World Series? Who knows? And again, this is where I don't think you can put too much stress on last year. What happened?
Right.
That was classic playoffs. Yeah, the Brewers could have won the World Series last year, but they also could have lost in the first round, and they did. Okay, doesn't mean last year was a disaster. No, we don't know what this year is going to be, but the totality of how they approach the year has a lot to do with Pat Murphy. From what I've seen, it's still in just a year and a half. That's why I feel more comfortable with that statement after the season. We'll see.
So recency now. I'm going to make you answer this. Is he a top 5 or top 10 manager in the game right now?
I'd say top. You maybe could make a case for top 5. Because right now Craig Counsell's going to be up at the top.
You put Dave Roberts still in there?
Yeah, I think.
Is he?
Let's see.
Would you have him over Aaron Boone?
Yes, I'd have Roberts over Boone.
Would you have Pat Murphy over Aaron Boone?
Yes,
Okay.
I would. I'd have Rob Thompson up near the top. AJ Hinch for sure.
I think that's such a
happening-
reclamation project for
Oh
his
my
image and such. I mean,
gosh.
yes.
They've done an excellent, excellent job there. See, right now, by the way,
So it kind of goes back to our football conversations we always have with Matt LaFleur. You're a Twins fan. Would you love Pat Murphy as your manager?
gosh, yes.
So
And Rocco Baldelli is quite the analytical manager.
Mhm.
So part of that would be getting over why are you doing this? What the book said to do? Oh, it blew up in your face again. It doesn't always happen, but it happens enough. Yeah, I think Council
probably top 10 for sure, but close to top 5.
top 10, and I think you could make a case for top 5.
Mm-hmm.
John Schneider's really good with the Jays. And okay, so we're also talking baseball or which league? Because if you're just talking
National
League, like right now, FanDuel odds have Council minus 135. He doesn't have the best odds from both. Right now, AJ Hinch is minus 800 for AL Manager of the Year. But Murphy's not that far behind. He's plus 200. And then it falls down to Marmol from the Cardinals, and I don't know how long that's going to hold, and it falls off pretty fast from there.
If the Brewers win the division, though, Pat Murphy's got to go back to back, doesn't he, for Manager of the Year?
Yeah, I think
There's
so. I
no
mean,
way
the
you could
Cubs
give it to
turning
Council.
around will help. I think it depends on who is responsible, seemingly most responsible for how the seasons end.
The Cubs turned around because of signing Kyle Tucker. and
That's
Pete
a big
Crow
part of it,
Armstrong
yes.
playing in there too.
I think if there's like a big injury for the Cubs and then they lose by like a game or two, that might give Council more credit because then you're like, well, what are you supposed to do when you lose someone? And then there might be a sense of let's give it to Council with the Cubs because we were going to do that and that it didn't happen last year. So let's do it this year because maybe next year there'll be a better candidate. So you know how that sentiment works. And again, Murphy just won it. You want to give it to him 2 years in a row? Well, he probably should. But again, MVP voting, we've seen that happen a lot. Well, let's give it to someone else because we should.
I don't know, because I think he's doing a better job this year than he did last year.
I think so. Yes. Yeah, I think I think Murphy. I mean, if you're just doing the odds combined between AL and NL, and again, you're combining two that are technically not the same. Murphy right now would be number 3. It'd be Hinch, Council, Murphy.
Okay.
Schneider would be right behind.
And maybe that tiebreaker is a division.
It probably is going to be that.
Interesting. My stock riser is Brewers related, but I'll go. I already mentioned him. I'll keep it short here. Matt Arnold. I mean, I think, just look at the job he's done the last couple of years. You talk about, obviously with Pat Murphy, bringing in Pat Murphy, but then some of these players, that he has been able to identify and bring in and such. It's just, okay, you said Pat Murphy. There you say better manager than Craig Counsell. Matt Arnold over David Stearns. Is it the same narrative sort of thing at this point? I mean, the job that he has done has been absolutely fantastic. And a lot of times general managers don't get the credit. And what he has done, I think, has been fantastic so far.
Yeah.
Now, he probably will get hit a little bit if they don't make a move by next week. Understandably, I get that. I think we all would like them to add a bat, but we'll see if that happens. But overall, bigger picture, I don't think you can dismiss or push aside the job that he has done as replacing David Stearns.
That's the other thing. Like Arnold is responsible for finding these players. So his stock is, I agree. There's a lot of stock going up overall around that team for good reason.
Yep. So
I like it.
All right. So you ready to do my
Lindsey Pipkins Memorial, but he's not dead yet. We're just calling it that. Player candidate watch list. That was a really long introduction.
It was. So I got 2, but there's a reason why. Because there's going to be one player like, oh, that's easy, sort of thing. So I've got another one.
Okay. And so are we going to take a break here or are we doing the list now?
We'll do the list now.
Okay. So again, what are the criteria to qualify for the watch list for the Lindsey Pipkins Memorial?
You have to be a
Award?
late draft pick, like 7th round, or an undrafted rookie free agent.
Yes.
That's the criteria.
Okay.
So looking at, and this is a player that I believe, because every year you've got that undrafted guy that could make the roster or the seventh rounder or whatever that could make the roster. Last year my pick was Kalen King. Why we call it Lindsey Pipkins? Because that was kind of the first time we did this.
Yeah.
I think it was because I was at a preseason game and you were doing a show and I emailed you some notes and I said, watch for Lindsey Pipkins. And he ended up making the team. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a fun
Plus the
thing.
name stood out.
Yeah, exactly. So I got two. One's going to be like, duh. So I got to back up just in case so people don't get on me. But my number one was Stackhouse, the defensive tackle, undrafted rookie free agents out of Georgia. I mean, he's probably going to, the likely guy to replace TJ Slayton as your nose tackle, run stuff for early down defensive tackle, plays on first and second, obvious rushing situations. So he's on there, obviously, but he fits the criteria because he was an undrafted rookie free agent.
Of course.
But he is also a guy that I think a lot of Packers fans already know about. So I'm going to throw you another name. Defensive back, Jonathan Baldwin from UNLV.
Okay.
The Packers list him as a corner, but you look at what he did in college. He played corner. He played a little safety. He's a fantastic blitzer. I also think it's key that the Packers gave him $115,000 guaranteed as an undrafted rookie free agent to sign with Green Bay.
Okay.
That usually gives you a good hint that they've got higher expectations for him. And considering the depth of the defensive back room and the cornerback room, look at this guy who brings some versatility, blitzing off the edge, can play in the box, can play a little safety, can play a little corner. Number 37, Jonathan Baldwin, not the wide receiver from the Chiefs back in the day.
No.
Jonathan Baldwin, corner, Green Bay. Those are the two names to watch.
Okay.
So
pretty solid ones. Okay. So begins now.
Yep.
I forget. Do we have a rundown the list of historic winners?
I think if I looked at all the draft, let me do that. There wouldn't be undrafted rookie free agents on there. I think if we go by the years, I could tell you the names because there was a safety. Who was the safety from a couple years ago, a few years ago? I'll see if I can do a quick look through the.
Thought I might have jotted it down, but maybe I didn't. So let's get the list so we can do a whole 2022.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll take a quick break. We'll do some picks. Brewers, will they win another series? What about Twins, Dodgers? We got those and more coming up after these few words. Time to do some picks as well. Some of these games will end these series going on here, like Brewers and Seattle and such. But before we make that pick, let's go through a few of these. Well, every other game on the docket. We got the Reds taking on the Nationals. 11:05 first pitch. Who are you gonna roll with?
Reds and Nats. I'll go with the Reds.
I'm going to go with the Reds as well. Padres and the Marlins, the team the Brewers will face on starting Friday.
Let's go with oh boy, because it's one of Sandy Alcantara's last starts before he probably gets traded, though I know that's cooled down as the season's gone along. I'll take the Marlins.
I will go Padres. I'm just going to go with the easy one there. Giants and the Braves, Verlander versus Strider.
Ooh, boy. Verlander, not the greatest season, despite the Giants' performance. But, I mean, win-loss is not the best way to judge it. I'll go with the Braves.
I'm going to go Braves, too, with Strider on the mound. Let's do Detroit at Pittsburgh.
I'll take the scuffling Tigers, but I think they'll get the win.
Yeah, I think they get the win after dropping their last couple games against them. Let's go Angels and Mets.
I'll take Manaea with the Mets.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm going to go Mets too. Let's go Royals, Cubs, Seth Lugo versus Colin Ray.
Another potential, I think, trade bait situation there, but I will go with the Cubbies.
You know what? I'm going to do it. Royals with Seth Lugo on the mound.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to do it. So, Cardinals, Rockies.
Cards.
Yeah, Cards. Astros, Diamondbacks.
Afternoon game out west. I will take the Astros.
I'm going to go with the Astros as well. Baltimore, Cleveland.
I'll take the Guardians.
I'll go Guardians. Red Sox, Phillies.
Mm.
We actually had a complete game last night, too, for the Phillies. Sanchez. That was pretty awesome.
My gosh.
Right? The fact that they're making a big deal about it, too, tells you something.
We got a complete game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'll go with the Red Sox picking up a win here. Let's go Yankees, Blue Jays.
Yanks
with Max Fried on the mound. White Sox in Tampa.
There I'll go Rays.
I am going to go with the Rays too. We've got the Athletics and the Rangers.
There I'll go Rangers.
Twins, Dodgers.
Oh boy. Let's see who's on the mound for this
Tyler
one.
Glasnow and Chris Paddock.
Yeah, okay, that's going to be the Dodgers.
I'll go Dodgers too. And then Brewers versus Seattle. Luis Castillo versus Quinn Priester.
Should be a good one, I think. I'll take the Mariners in a close game. Losing streak. What's wrong with the Brewers?
Right.
Can they fire Pat Murphy and get a reboot in the season?
I'm going to go Brewers with Priester picking up his 9th win of the season. So I thought about bringing this up in Stock Risers for Stock Fallers. What was your reaction to all the drama with the WNBA over All-Star Weekend?
It's not getting better.
Yeah.
They're clearly, I know this got to this whole who's supporting this pay increase, and it very much turned into a take fest, which welcome to is that the second circle of hell?
Mm-hmm.
All in all, though, this comes down to the meeting between the players and the league, and the players basically said, yeah, y'all aren't listening to us. So this would be, again, to use a sports cliche, this would be an impasse. They are at an impasse right now. It doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. They could solve it, but between that and the shirts, the players very clearly want to be paid more. And they should be paid more, I think. Yeah.
And then Plum's comments about, Caitlin Clark and, when they're talking about the shirts and she said Team Clark wasn't fully on board or something like that.
Something weird happened with that. Yeah. Part of the problem is the union, as we've seen with the NFL of late, needs to be fully together. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a lot going for them because of the prominence of the players. They become more household names. More of them than at any other time. Their value, sports value, and again, you can get into the whole, should players be paid? But No, and really, should NFL players and NBA players make tens of millions of dollars? Really? No, they shouldn't.
Mhm.
But they do because of the structure. Okay, so abiding by that structure, WNBA players should be making more than a nice 5-figure salary that's comparable to most of us here working a really good job in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Okay?
Mhm.
If they're on a national level, they should be making more. So I think they're in the right. I guess I'm getting more into opinion on this, but I think structurally they are in the right. But they can't be sniping with each other. And there's going to be a give and take to this.
Mhm.
There's that whole question of franchise valuations versus revenue and all of that. Okay, I know, but it's clearly moving in an upward direction. The future takes, the potential deals are high. So those players should be paid more.
Mhm.
Think, but it's not a good spot for any of them, and that's why I was tempted to do WNBA stock follower again for that particular league. They can go play elsewhere. They could do Unrivaled all the time, I guess. I mean, that's a very simple way of saying it. I'm sure it'd be like, no, actually, you really couldn't do that all the time. But there are other options besides that particular league.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's also not as easy for the WNBA either. That has been a money-losing league for a long time. For a long time, it was being, let's be honest, it was being propped up by the NBA.
Mhm.
I know they had a vision for it, but it was being propped up. Ordinarily, that would not have lasted.
Mhm.
How much longer that's the case, I don't know. But from their perspective, they're going, yeah, but we're not awash in money either. So it goes in a lot of different directions.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. Is this kind of an example of where it's not necessarily any news is good news or popular news? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, sort of, that phrase.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what would be the better one. Is no news good news, given that the most recent update is nothing? I think we need to hear about some meetings first, and then if we're hearing about meetings and then nothing, no news is good news.
Mhm.
But we're not even close to that part right now. And I think a lot of stuff is going to leak, but that's what happens with contentious labor situations in all of the sports.
Right. So we got about 9 minutes left. Nothing yet on the Packers helmet or
Packers
what's
helmet watch.
getting released or anything. So
Again, 9:05. It's
It-
kind of a
it's
bit of a
gonna-
running joke with this, but yeah.
it will. So, and then I got to figure out what's more important, a helmet or a new lawnmower.
Well, let's see. On the one hand, you need to
Personal
mow-
happiness or personal happiness, so you don't get yelled at for
So-
not doing the yard.
Is it the Marie Kondo thing of what brings you joy?
Mm-hmm.
So what brings you joy?
I do like mowing the lawn. I am full dad on that.
Okay.
I do like that, but a new rider costs a lot. So,
Yeah.
but it's got to be done. It's not no mow may. Can't use that.
No.
And I don't agree with no mow may anyways. So,
But what if you took the, I think you just answered the question. What if you went with the pollinator approach?
that, or here's a better idea. What if, you get a new rider, safety feature, I might need a helmet to wear. Kind of like Tim
Yes.
Allen when he revamped the lawnmower into, a racing one with Bob Vila.
Picturing you mowing your yard. I don't know what your yard looks like, but I'm picturing it.
Hey, it's got hills, so it's a safety thing. I
Yep.
might have to wear a helmet.
And you're wearing an NFL helmet.
Yep. Because the helmets I have right now don't fit my head.
Okay.
So.
So you get a throwback helmet,
Yep.
sized properly.
Mhm.
Of course, it can, if it's an authentic one, it's good for concussion. So if you fall off,
Mhm.
you're going to be protected.
Yep.
Is Veronica going to buy that?
No.
Okay. So
No.
that's a problem.
Yep.
It's a good justification, but
And then maybe this could lead into me actually being able to buy a four-wheeler because then I already have the helmet.
aha.
See, now we're really getting into the weeds here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Will Veronica be good with that?
No.
Okay.
And the thing is, the helmet would be brown if they do that, so it would work for hunting. So it's kind of like camouflage a little
Would
bit.
Veronica be good with that?
No.
Okay.
So
And what brings you joy? What brings you joy?
that stuff does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real, and that's Hey, look, if it's a multi-purpose helmet, I think that's the thing. If you do it on a case-by-case basis, she's like, no. But if you're like, okay, I can use it for this, this.
And I might have to wear it fishing too if I go fishing with my buddy Josh again, because he gets a little crazy driving that boat, and he hit a wave, and I was like, oh, glad I stayed in.
Mhm.
I hurt my arm, man. It was a little sore. I think that's why my body was sore the next day.
See, but would the helmet help with that? That would
Well,
be the
I could have hit my head.
could have.
The crazy boat driver Josh he is. So
Yeah.
it's like, holy moly.
I suppose you could have like put your. I'm trying to think if there's some way you can put a helmet around the yeah.
But I'm just saying, what if I would have hit my head instead of the side of my arm and hip?
Right, could have happened.
Could have happened. So I got to be prepared for that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So,
best of luck.
yeah, we're all counting on you.
Well,
Yeah.
good
We'll
luck.
see.
Well, counting on you. Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be that helmet?
I think so.
If you had to make, so it is picks and pre.
It makes the most amount of sense. It's kind of logical to match that way. It would get more attention that way. It would be like the whole first thing of which is the first NFL team to have an airbrushed old school alternate.
And if it is that, I can tell you that'll probably be our poll question, and I can probably already tell you the results. The majority will not like it because I think we're stuck in tradition.
But that's the thing. It kind of is tradition.
It is, but it's not the G.
It isn't, but I mean, there's
Like, I'm in favor of it. I would love it. If it's anything else besides that, I've talked myself into it. I will be disappointed.
Here's where outsider can kind of talk here. And I know sometimes you have to be part of the group, part of the family to be able to criticize your own family. And I'm not, obviously, but I've grown up around here, so I think I can still put a say in on this. If you respect the tradition of the Packers, that also counts for everything, all of the decades pre-G. There was a lot. If that doesn't exist, then they're basically a much more respectable version of the Dallas Cowboys. If you're going literally from when the G went on the helmet. Sorry, that's it. There is a lot of history pre-G. No, hardly anyone had anything on their helmets pre-1960. And if you go before the Rams first painted on a horn, there was nothing. So if you're trying to, I mean, if you're going to go throwback, then you got to do it that kind of a throwback. So if it's heritage, if it's tradition, it's okay to do that.
So it'd be that helmet. Would it be the green jerseys that we've seen? Or would it be a little different?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because isn't there that rule about like X number of years you got to have them? And since they just broke them out the other year, they're not ready for another redo.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it's going to be.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because I'm sure they'll have players if it does drop today, they'll have that video of players modeling them.
I did see because UniWatch was doing a quick rundown because apparently the Browns alternate helmet is about to come out.
Oh geez. They have an alternate helmet?
They have another one. Because they had the white one too. Right.
And another.
We the best. Music. Okay, so yeah, they've got looking to see, is there something at I'm at the Chris Creamer board, sportslogos.net. Nothing new, just a lot of teasers. The question there is, are the Browns going to actually put a logo on for this alternate? Which would probably be Brownie the Elf.
Couldn't they just put the Browns?
You could.
You know, like what I mean, like the one they used to? Didn't they have that helmet like that? Where
you're thinking Bengals.
Oh, I'm thinking Bengals. Okay.
Their first one.
Okay.
Because I thought, I'm trying to remember here, if there was like a thing about Brownie the Elf possibly being, there was like I think there was like a prospective Browns.
I'd rather they have a dog on there instead of Brownie the Elf.
But
like the dog pound.
The fans like Brownie.
Of course, Cleveland Browns fans would like Brownie the Elf. I mean, come on. Let's try to take your team serious for once in your life, for crying out loud. Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it's kitschy. I guess you got to be a Browns fan to like it. But at least
if I'm a player and I'm playing with a Brownie the Elf on my helmet, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I here?
I'm picturing like the the classic pose, like the pose.
Miles
You know,
Garrett
yeah.
with a Brownie the
like
elk.
that, screaming with Brownie. Actually, and I just saw someone put this on it's an older Browns post about helmets. What they should have put the official logo of the team on the helmet. Think about that for a second.
Yeah. That's
And think about where that's the infinite thing with the helmet.
Yeah.
With the helmet. With the helmet. With the helmet. That would be hilarious. They would never do that, but gosh, that'd be funny.
That would be funny.
But that's coming. That's, you know what? That'll probably end up getting more attention because it'll be an actual logo. Again, alternate, not the full-time one. Then they'd have to change the logo. But the Packers one, I think, is coming today as well.
So a few minutes ago, Packers did start the live stream for the training camp. It's not up. There's nobody riding bikes yet, but the live stream's up if you want to watch it. So
Here we go.
you bet. All right, DP Dancer up next. Have a good Wednesday. Back at same place, same time tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. We'll talk to you then.